because we got stuff to sign tonight.
Should be able to take one.
Are we all set?
It's on.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Jan, we all set? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Raleigh Board of Selectmen. It is August the 12th, 2013, and the first thing on the agenda, remind everybody first that this is being audio taped and videotaped, and call the meeting to order. And in the audience is Dan Foldings, our new light superintendent. So, Dan, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Dan. Okay. Tonight we have several appointments. And first appointment will be a public hearing. Applicant submitted by Raleigh Municipal Lighting Plant and Verizon relocate a pole number 1 on Independence Street. That will be at 7:15. At 7:30, we have a joint meeting with the Board of Assessors to hear a presentation on payment in lieu of taxes agreements for proposal solar panel array. 8 o'clock, we have an appointment with Fire Chief Broderick to discuss ladder truck. And I have no chairman's comments tonight. We'll have citizen query between 7:05 and 7:15. And that will be approximately 3 minutes. So first, let's go into...
Mr. Chairman, can
Yes.
I just ask for a moment of silence for 2 of our longtime Raleigh residents that passed away this past week. Mrs. Catherine Dan was a longtime resident, and our former postmaster, Dan Barrett. If we could have that
Sure.
moment.
Thank you, Jack. A moment of silence. Jack, thank you for reminding us of the passing of 2 Raleigh residents. Thank you.
Long residents of Raleigh. Yeah.
Thanks, Jack. Okay, moving on to general business. We'll go to general business number 1. Okay, discuss Council of Aging board vacancy. Council of Aging Board Chairman Mary Bright informed Debbie that Reverend Robert Hagopian did not seek reappointment to the Council on Aging due to busy schedule. There is now an open seat on the board. A notice of the vacancy has been posted since July 2nd, 2013. Residents interested in serving on the Council on Aging need to submit a letter resume to the Board of Selectmen by Monday, August 19th, 2013. The Council on Aging holds monthly meetings and oversees a wide variety of programs and services for the town's elderly population. The Selectmen need to set aside time during their Monday, August 26, 2013 meeting to interview the interested candidates. Additionally, we should invite COA Chair Mary Bright and other representatives of the Council on Aging to attend the August 26th meeting. Debbie, what do we have for the schedule for the 26th?
It's pretty much open-ended, and depending on the outcome of some of the items tonight, there may be things that are moved to the 26th. I would suggest this be early in the agenda,
Yes,
7:15.
sounds good. Okay, sounds good. 7:15.
We've already had some interest, as the selectmen have seen when they read their mail. We've had 2 interested individuals, so we're going to send those over to the Council on Aging. I had a conversation with Chairman Bright today, so she would like to, have some of these interested individuals come down to the senior center and look at the operations. So, what would the board prefer? Like set aside 10 minutes for each? 5
Yeah, I would
minutes
say.
for each person.
Maybe set aside 15 minutes total.
Yeah,
So about 5 minutes per
Yeah.
person.
5 minutes per candidate.
Okay.
And if
Okay.
it's we don't get too many, you could even make it a little bit less.
Well, we have two now, then,
Two
I
now,
don't know if
okay.
there's another person coming.
Okay, let's schedule it for 7:15. Sounds good. All right, any other discussion from the board? Okay, with that. Okay, it is now 7:05. Just to remind everybody, we are now in citizen query from now until 7:15. There's nobody in the audience right now except for Dan, light superintendent. So, but if any queries from citizens who have between now and 7:15, if you wish to write down maybe and pop a question to us. Okay. With that, let's move on to general business number 2. And we have a letter from Laura Lee Garafo, land donation. Laura Lee Garafo has sent the Board of Selectmen a letter offering to donate a parcel of land on 347 Weathersfield Street. She has asked for the assessment of the property. The assessor's property record, which is attached, shows the assessed value of $194,100. Treasurer Collector has reported to Debbie that there is a lien on the property for an outstanding tax total $8,610.96. Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 60, Section 77C, covers the process in which deeds can be accepted by municipalities in lieu of foreclosure. However, there can be no other liens on the property under the statute. Town meeting would have to accept the property, and it would be considered town land in the same manner as tax title foreclosed land. Is the board interested in accepting this land? Does the board want Debbie to research this with town council?
Mr. Chairman, I did look into this
Mm-hmm.
this morning, as a matter of fact. And this land is at 347 Weathersfield Street. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with some of the lots up there, but there was a developer. Actually, the land originally belonged to the Dodge Farm.
This is just past Route 1 on the right-hand side, setback.
Yes, it's almost to the brook, almost to the first bridge, just before the first bridge. And it was Dodge's farm, the apple orchard and so forth was up there, Edgebrook Farm. And when the developer came along, they laid out all that property, and it all wound up with dog-leg lots.
Okay.
And that's it. They go in, they make a turn, and they make another turn, very narrow. And that's what this is. It's one of those dog-leg lots. And actually, the town owns the next lot beside it
Okay.
already. It's already been foreclosed on with tax title. So it would be my suggestion that we actually check with town council to see that, make sure that we follow section 60,
Okay.
chapter 770, 77C. I'm not sure what we could do with it. I believe there's zoning requirements that dog-leg lots are not acceptable. But it would give us more frontage on the property, the piece that we already own, and possibly be able to make a lot out of the two,
Okay.
so that we could get our tax money back.
Any other discussions from the board on this?
A lot of wetlands there, Bob, isn't he, to the,
The next lot up, Jack, is got some wetland in
almost
it.
to the brook?
Yes, yeah, but this piece it looks to be dry,
Yeah.
but I would
Is
be
that the-
surprised.
If I'm thinking, is that where that car's been parked?
Yes, exactly.
In that little,
Yeah,
been there for
Ever.
3 years or so, right?
yeah, because they actually had horses out in back there, I guess.
Okay.
So can I have a motion to,
I got a question, Bob.
oh, yes,
On the map,
Yes.
shown, there's a 33 acres in the back side. Do you know who owns that? Is that conservation land, or is that part of that land that we, where the guy was gonna develop years ago? Remember, who was that? The guy that came in and was gonna develop all that land, and then, and back of where Sweeney's Gay 90 used to be, and where the winery is. Is that?
That was probably part of the Dodge Farm,
Yeah, I think it probably was too.
Dave, but I'm not sure who owns it today. Because it's got to butt up against the river.
I'm just wondering if we take it, or if we want it, is it something that we just want to turn around and see if some of the abutters might want a piece of that, or rather than us having just a squiggly piece of land in there that's not of much use, we can at least get some tax money out of it if the abutters want it.
Possibly 19 might be interested.
Well, first we need to go, we should go to town council.
Yeah, we want to make sure, there was some sort of a question about whether, because it had the lien on it, whether we could accept it or not.
Right.
So we need to clarify that it's only the town's lien that would be there rather than somebody else's. And if that's the case, maybe we can accept it.
Need a motion to,
Mr. Chairman, there's just a thought process, the cost to go through the tax title legal process and pay for the attorney that's involved in that. And this has a lien on it, you know, we've embarked on the tax title taking process. It's gonna take some time and some money. Weighing that, compared to the outstanding taxes on it, is something that the board should also take in consideration. And then if we do have an auction of tax title land within the next, 6 to 8 months, this could be sold in combination with the adjacent piece that's also owned by the town, taken through tax title too. So there's some considerations on a number of levels for the board to explore.
Just to make, and that was my suggestion, was that just let it go to tax title. They already owe us 8,000,
right.
and tax title will probably be at least another 3. So, I mean, that doesn't really make much sense if we can get it without having to go to the tax title option and spending that extra money. So,
Well, I'm willing to make a motion that we at least let town council advise us on what the best choice would be, whether we do tax title or just accept the donation. Just to move it along, and then we can look, obviously after that, if we get it, we can look at how we want it. So I'd make a motion to let town council take a look at it.
All right, I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? More? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a couple more general business here. Okay. General business number 3. We have a street opening for National Grid. It's at 743 Haverhill Street. This is for new service.
It's all signed out. I'll give you a motion to accept it.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's find the place that...
Mr. Chairman, the board will need to sign your copy.
All right, before we... Joe? Thank you. Moving along to general business number 4. This is another National Grid, and this is for parcel 15, lot 26, off of Emily Lane, for new service also.
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Forgot Dave down there.
I thought he'd gone on vacation. He wasn't where he was supposed to be.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Out of my mind for sure, Dave.
No problem.
Is this the same one for
No, there's another.
That's another one.
another one?
Oh, it's
Okay.
Wells'
different
one.
address.
Have one real quick, National Grid. Okay, new service, and this is Emily Lane,
57.
57 Emily Lane for new service. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
People are converting. There you go, Dave. I won't forget you this time.
Super. Oh, yeah. Well, it's got 3 signatures. It's 7:15. It is now. Assistant query is now closed. Joe, thank you. Thank you, Jack. Okay, that portion of general business is concluded. And with that, we'll move to the appointment folder. And our first appointment, we have a public hearing submitted by Raleigh Municipal Light and Verizon to relocate one pole on Independence Street. The Board of Selectmen has received a petition from the Raleigh Municipal Lighting Plant to relocate a pole on Independence Street. This is a routine request. The chairman needs to read the legal notice into the record.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
as chairman of the Municipal Light Board, I will recuse myself.
yes, and as
You can make a declaration as a member.
as a member of the light board, so should I join you on the other side of the room and then have
All right, that
Joe
would be
become?
that would actually be your purview. But it
Joe,
would be-
I'm gonna relinquish chairmanship to you, okay, as member of the light board, and at this point, I will turn this over to you, okay? And I will sit across.
Mr. Chairman, are you recusing yourself?
Yes, I'm recusing myself and sit as a member of the light board.
I'll read into the record the legal notice, Town of Raleigh Board of Selectmen. Notice is hereby given that the Raleigh Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on the application by the Raleigh Municipal Lighting Plant and Verizon to locate poles, wires, cables, and fixtures, including the necessary anchors, guys, and other such sustaining and protecting fixtures to be owned and used in common by the petitioners along and across the following public way or ways. Independence Street, relocate pole number 1. Also for permission to lay and maintain underground laterals, cables, and wires in the above or intersection public ways for the purpose of making connection with such poles in buildings as each of said petitioners may desire for distributing purposes. Plans marked Raleigh Municipal Lighting Plant and Verizon, number 2013-1, dated July 24th, 2013, are on file in the office of the Board of Selectmen. The hearing will be held on Monday, August 12th, 2013, at 7:15 p.m. in the Town Hall, Main Street, Raleigh, Mass. 01969. Per order of the Raleigh Board of Selectmen, Robert Snow, Chairman, G. Robert Murray, Vice Chairman, Joseph Perry, Clerk, Jack L. Cook, David Peterson. Call for a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 If anyone wishes to speak during the hearing, you must identify yourself for the record. The chairman will call upon a representative, Dan, to speak from the light department on the petition.
This is a petition to relocate poles due to the Raleigh Common project, where there's new lighting fixtures going in on that side of Independence Street and a new sidewalk.
Right.
So the pole that is currently there needs to be relocated to the other side of the street. And
Oh, it's on the other side?
yeah, it's right now it's on the common side of the street, right where the sidewalk or the new underground light fixtures are going to be. So it needs to be relocated to the other side of the street in order for the project to move forward.
Is that just a one-day deal, or is it?
Yeah, for us to set the pole and relocate the wires and whatnot, yeah.
Since there's no one else in the audience, I guess there's nobody else speaking on it. Dave, you?
Is anybody from Verizon coming?
I don't think so.
If I wanted to pose the question to them, and I know it's not the Raleigh Light Department, but all over town, there's dozens, if not in excess of 100 double pole situations that I assume are the responsibility of Verizon and Comcast to move their wires, which they appear not to be too happy to do.
Right.
So therefore, if you go down Central Street, I live on Newbury Road, virtually every street in town, I believe, has
Has at least
multiple,
one.
that haven't been removed in years. I mean, we're not talking about something just recent, we're talking about, and in the old days, we just said, no, you can't relocate this pole till you start. And I'm not gonna suggest that tonight, because I don't want to uphold the project, but is there any way, do you have a suggestion how, I mean, I'm sure these wires will get moved very quickly because it's a sensitive location, but
And
I've talked to a lot of people who are rather upset about the fact that we have so many double poles that have been in place for so long, that I'm tying to this only because it's our one option at a public meeting to bring this to your attention and hopefully Verizon's and Comcast's attention so that we can get these taken care of in the near future. I don't know what we can do to
There is-
expedite that, but it's certainly an issue.
It's a common problem throughout the state with double poles in different municipalities. It's difficult to address, difficult to get Verizon here to transfer their wires so we can remove the pole. As far as a plan of action, not sure, but we have talked to legislators in the past and complained about this issue before. And basically is what we can do in the future is just keep complaining to our legislators about this issue in the municipalities that they're not doing what they're supposed to do. As soon as we're done transferring our wires off the pole, Comcast and Verizon are notified. And there is no time frame for them to come and transfer their wires off that pole. If there was a time frame that, and I believe there was legislation proposed that would implement some kind of time frame, or they'd be penalized either legal fines or something, but that hasn't happened yet.
Would it be possible for you to get us a name and address and an email address so that at a public meeting we can tell citizens where to send their complaints, and maybe a public relations campaign might be of some help in getting this done? I mean, it's so frustrating to drive up and down some beautiful country roads and see all these double poles. And I know it's not you people, your guys do a great job, and you're putting in new poles all the time to improve the system, but I'm just, personally, I'm just sick and tired of seeing this. And if we can do a public relations campaign, maybe that, I understand that's about all we can do at this point, but maybe that'll help.
Okay. I'll get you some contact information that we can
Thank you.
forward to.
Jack, do you have it?
No.
Is everybody? David?
I'm fine.
Okay. I call for a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion to close it, but we gotta vote on
Yeah, we got to close the hearing first.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Is there any discussion?
No, I'm in favor, there's no problem.
Okay, I'll make the motion that the application submitted by Raleigh MLP and Verizon to relocate pole 1 on Independence Street.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Perry, there's a couple of tags there.
Yes.
For signatures, and Mr. Folding also has an original here that's tagged as well, and I don't know if it's easier.
Should we sign here, or?
It's,
I don't think it matters.
I think there's two locations that I identified, that one needs to be signed by the acting chairman.
Right.
And then one signed by the full board, is that correct?
Right.
And requires a town clerk
I'll bring it on.
certification, so she can just sign it tomorrow.
It's the same.
She's going for-
While we're doing that, I'd just like to say that your department does an excellent job cooperating
Yeah.
with citizens, and, I know you're new on board with us, but over the years, and it continues, an excellent relationship, and the guys are friendly and helpful. Anytime people call the office down there, I think, as far as I know anyway, that we get an excellent response. So I just want to publicly thank you and your employees, and let them know that we appreciate the service you provide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
I think that concludes the... We're all set?
We're all set on that, Mr. Chairman, acting chairman?
Should we invite Mr. Snow and
Yeah,
Mr. Murray to come back?
I gave him the wave.
Have a wave?
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Okay, it's now 7:28. We have a joint meeting with the Board of Assessors in about 2 minutes. If I can talk long enough, like I usually do, we can go right into it. It's a great segue, but... do you have any other general business?
No.
I think the other general business is... Yeah, we have concluded that. We have a long discussion on old business. We'll hold off on that. Okay. We can do some minutes. Okay, everybody read the minutes for April the 1st, 2013.
Yes. Have it? Yep.
Got them right there.
Yep.
Everybody read them?
Mhm.
I read them, but there's one, actually two of them that I'm not here, so.
You're not here? Okay.
Just have to check.
Have a motion for the April 1st, 2013, number 1.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain because I wasn't on the board at that time.
Okay.
I'll abstain because I was absent.
The Board of Assessors gonna
April
set-
1st, 2013, minutes 2. You have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. We'll come back for the rest of them. We have about 20 seconds and it'll be 7:30. And if I can prolong this for 20 seconds. Okay. It's 7:30, we're joint meeting with the Board of Assessors to hear presentation on the payment in lieu of taxes agreement for proposal of solar panel array. A call for motion to open a joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Assessors by a roll call vote.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All those in favor of the roll call vote?
Jack Cook.
Hi, Joe Perry.
I, Robert Snow.
Hi, Robert Murray.
Hi, Dave Peterson. Hi, Bill Demento.
Hi, Diane D'Angelo.
Hi, Donald Thurston.
Jim Randolph and Capital Energy Partners LLC will give a presentation on payment in lieu of taxes pilot program for the solar panel field that is being installed on Country Garden property off Central Street. Mr. Randolph has provided the Board of Selectmen with a Harvard Law School report on pilot programs for solar arrays, a copy of the unsigned pilot agreement in the town of Spencer, and a newspaper article on the pilot program in Eastham. 3. We have set aside 30 minutes on tonight's agenda to hear the presentation and to learn more about the pilot programs. I want to make sure that the selectmen and the assessors have the opportunity to ask Mr. Randolph questions. I would like both boards to take this under advisement and to continue researching the pros and cons of the pilot programs and to reconvene you in a few weeks. But, so with that, I will turn this over to Mr. Randolph. Sir,
Thank you. Thank you.
welcome to Raleigh.
Thank you very much. My name is Jim Randolph. I'm with a small company called Capital Energy Partners, and we are classified as a pre-developer. And basically what we do as a company is we will go out and identify prospective sites for the purposes of solar installations. We will work with utilities, the landowners, the towns, civil engineering firms, and try to come up with a composite package to present to an investor. In this case, the investor, the developer, is a company called Sundurance Energy. This company is a New Jersey-based company. They're a subsidiary of a company called Conti Construction. Conti Construction is a 107-year-old company. They're an infrastructure company. They do work worldwide. They're the ones who built the levees that held in New Orleans. They are actively in the rebuilding process in New Jersey from the terrible flooding there. And they also have a solar arm called Sundurance Energy, which is the group that we're engaged with. Sundurance Energy has, I think in some of the information that I'm going to pass out to, right around 80 megawatts of projects that are either have been built or in the process of being built here in Massachusetts. They're a very large, very dynamic company. I printed out a couple of qualification papers for Sundurance. Capital Energy Partners has projects going in other areas of the state. We made a decision to work basically in the municipality districts. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's the route that we went. When Massachusetts developed their SREC program, there was a flood of developers that came up into Massachusetts, and they were doing work with the NSTARS and NGRIDs, and in those big groups, some of the big areas where they could get projects built. We saw a big void in the municipalities. We thought we could do projects, that we could get projects built. We had a lot of interest from the utilities and from the property owners, and it was all, and it is very, very positive feedback. The one hurdle that we've run into has been the tax situation, because these type of programs have never been into these municipalities. A tax agreement has had to come about. Typically, the tax rate, the regular tax rate for the towns are at a level where it just is not cost effective to do a project and pay the regular price per 1,000 that the towns want, and then thus pilot programs were born. Pilot is an acronym of payment in lieu of taxes. So basically what the developer does, and again, I'm just the pre-developer, but basically what the developer does is they pitch a case to the town that we would like to pay you X based on the size of the system, or the megawatts of the system. There's a lot of things that the developer comes to come up with that figure. What is the return? What are they getting on return on the project? And a lot of it's tied to the SREC values in the state, what they can build a project at, what panels are going for these days, and there's this big, huge pro forma that everything gets dumped into, and then they give us a rate of return that they'd like us to build at, and we try to get the project done. The pilots, I think back when we first initially talked to Mr. McFadden, we were asking for a $6,000 megawatt pilot. I have some documentation here from the report that was put out by Harvard as far as what other towns are paying on their pilots across the business case. In the range anywhere from the low 6,000 per megawatt price up into some very high numbers that in today's market we cannot get a project done. All told, all told, there's 18 projects on here. If you look at the last one, Wichenden, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, it's listed twice on two separate projects, but I took into account the one. There's 18 projects, and they average out to roughly $13,000 a megawatt. Once Harvard released this study, which to me has been probably one of the most comprehensive studies that I have seen, and I ran out, I'm sorry. I went back to the developer and I said, I'm not going to go in and ask for $6,000 a megawatt when the rest of the state is getting $12,000 to $20,000.
Mr. Renoff, anytime you feel comfortable, you want to sit down, you can sit down.
Oh, okay. Thank you. With that being said, I wanted to know what this pain threshold was. I wanted to be able to come into you folks with a reasonable number, a number that they would live with, but a number that the town would say, you know what, they're coming in, they're being fair with us, and we'd like to get this project built. That number is $12,000 a megawatt. He stressed, my contact with Justin with Sundurance is, it can't be 13, it can't be 15, it's got to be $12,000. If it comes in higher, then we have to go back to Mr. Folding and say, we need to cut a new agreement on the power purchase agreement that Dan has been engaged with Justin. But $12,000 a megawatt is basically the ask, if you would, on the pilot. Did some math for you. And again, I've got some project overviews here. Thank you. Fortunately, I believe I have enough for everybody, but it gives a little bit more specifics on the project. The project is a 1.4 megawatt system that's proposed. It is going to generate roughly 1.7 million kilowatt hours of energy annually. There is a 0.5% degradation of the system, like any electrical component. Over time it does go down. The estimated cost of the system is going to be about $3.2 million. Again, the project developer is a company called Sundurance Energy. If we were going to, I'm going to jump down to, on the bottom where it says current property tax rate, if we were to go down to what I perceive as the Raleigh tax rate, which is $14.50 a thousand, and if somebody has different information,
Yep,
certainly
that's right.
correct me. We would be looking at an annual tax on the complete system of a little over $45,000. Based on the pilot that we're asking for, we would be paying roughly, should be on here, I believe it should be around $16,000 of what we're asking to pay. $12,000 on the first megawatt, and then there would be an additional $4,000 or 1/3 of that for the 0.4. With that being said, the property owner is currently paying, I believe, was it $800? $700.
$700 a year.
I think I factored $800 a year in property taxes as the property sits right now. So over a 20-year period, I've got, and I'm looking at these numbers and I don't think they're adding up right, but a total tax revenue of $8,000 off that property, as opposed to our $16,000 times 20 years would be $320,000 in additional revenue generated by that property. That is, in a very short synopsis, that's the mathematics of the system. I've been in presentations before where developers will bring in accountants, tax accountants and everything else, and they'll do PowerPoints and everything else and just swamp you and overwhelm you with data. This is a simple, clear-cut case. Comes down to if the town wants to have the system or a solar project in their town, we'd be more than happy to provide it. These are the financial outlines that we get to work with, that I get to work with as a pre-developer, and it's what the developer is willing to work with them. Any questions up to this point?
Any questions?
Yeah, I go, just one, in other words, the pilot takes the place of all the taxes, so that the landowner doesn't pay,
No, the landowner would still pay their taxes.
they still pay their
Because,
taxes.
and the pilot is based basically on the value of the system that's on there, on the
Okay.
property, and, with the decision that the
Okay,
town
so,
decides.
yeah, I wasn't here when it started, so in other words, they maintain ownership of the property, pay taxes on it, and this is all, this is for the solar array on top of the property.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly. This other document, the paper that I'm passing out is just where the system would sit on the property. And if you've been by the property, if you're familiar with the property, the nice thing about this site is there's a tree row in front of it, so it will be pretty well blocked from the road. And it just so happens that the property owner happens to own a nursery. And if we need additional foliage, I'm sure you'll be more than happy to sell it to us. We've had our preliminary site work done by a company called Meridian Associates. They're out of Beverly. They've have done several of these projects. They've identified some wetlands and such where you'll see is shown that we need to have setback from. And
Thank you.
Dan, you're very intimate with this program. And so that's what
Country
the
Gardens is here,
Country Gardens is correct.
right here. And the solar arrays would be up in this area.
Correct. That is your property?
Yes.
This is country
Yeah.
guy.
Country Gardens.
Yeah. No, but they've got,
Yeah, over the road.
Exactly.
Just another question,
Mhm.
being unfamiliar with the project at this point, is, does the power from this goes to the Raleigh Municipal Light Department, or is there?
No, that's
How does that,
exactly,
how does that, and you may not have the answer to the question, I don't know.
I do have that answer. These are just separate folders of the exact same values.
That's why we have Dan here.
Yeah,
Sure, to inform the public too that might be watching. what
sure,
exactly what's going
on the books, it's over, I believe, over 100-year law that within a municipality, the only person that can sell power, retail power to another entity is, you can't do it. The only one that can sell it is utility itself. So that's why in municipalities, the only power purchase agreement or PPA that we can develop is directly with Dan's group. We can't sell Country Gardens power, we can't sell anything else. In Massachusetts, there are PPAs anywhere from 6 cents as high as 12 cents. Obviously, the light department here creates their own energy, and we can't propose a 12-cent PPA to an entity that makes their own power for quite a bit less. So we've negotiated long and very hard with the light group to get to the rate where we're at right now. And I think this project would be a beneficial one for the town, for the light plant, and for the owners of the property, as well as the investor.
And Dan, you think it would be beneficial for the town as well?
With the current PPA as negotiated, yes, I think it would be. We've, as Jim said, we've negotiated this PPA for quite a while. It's been going on for almost a year now. At 6.5 cents, I believe it's something that we could blend into our power supply and have it, not affect the residences all as far as the rates go. That won't affect the residents at all.
This is going to generate 1.4 megawatts of power.
Mm-hmm.
How does that,
How does it relate to what we use and like on an hourly or daily basis?
right,
On an hourly basis, through our national grid meter readings, we could be peak times around 12 megawatts, average times probably 4 to 5 megawatts. So a 1.4 megawatt system would be about a quarter of that on an hourly basis.
Yeah, this system will produce 1.7 megawatts of power annually. So I don't know what your annual production is, your annual usage is.
It's over 40 million.
Yeah. So this is just a blip, basically, on what the consumption is for the town.
That rate, is that renewable? How long would that rate be effective? 6.5?
The project is a 20-year project. It's a 20-year lease. It's a 20-year PPA. So it will be for 20 years, for the next 20
Everything's
years.
20 years, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my question was, would it benefit the town's taxpayers? And you, I think your answer, if I got it correct, was that it wouldn't hurt them. So there really is no benefit as far as decrease in electricity as a result of this particular installation.
It's a way for Raleigh Municipal Light to be a little bit green in our power portfolio. Truthfully speaking, right now, the wholesale cost of electricity is around 4 to 5 cents. So we'd be actually paying a little bit more for the solar power. But this is also a 20-year deal. So, of course, with everything escalating, the price of power in 20 years could be, who knows what it could be. But we're going to be locked in at the 6.5 cent rate with an escalator for the next 20 years. So forecasting should be very valuable, getting close to the end of the project.
And this generates how much a day?
1.7 million divided by 365.
Okay.
And you'll have peaks and valleys depending on sunny days and rainy days and snowy days and what have you. But these panels would be very efficient.
Is there a difference between, well, of course there's a difference in the winter time compared to, the summer is going to be peak time for generation?
Sure, the summer is peak time for generation, but these panels will still generate power even under 6 inches of snow. So they're as efficient as what is, it is what's state of the art for what's available today.
Just depends on the light of the day. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. So on a snowy day in in December. There's a marked difference between that and.
Then a sunny day and a day like today, it was beautiful today when I was coming in.
Dan, it's also an advantage to the light department on transmission charges and demand charges. This would help offset some of that. Probably not a whole lot, but it would help some.
It would help some, seeing as our solar generates probably between the hours, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, about between 10 and 2.
The peak.
Peak
Production,
times,
correct.
about peak production times between like 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. As you know, Raleigh, with the businesses and whatnot, that is one of our prime times for, buying electricity. So it will help us with some transmission cost. I mean, Raleigh peaks, our afternoon peak is probably around 4 to 5 in the afternoon, so will it help that? Not really, but it will help during the day to shave that, that peak time during the day.
Now, this generates DC power, goes into an inverter, and then out into the grid as AC power. Okay.
I did kind of a tabletop exercise here, and I took Douglas, Mashpee, Uxbridge, and Southbridge, and averaged out the cost, both the average annual payment and the price per megawatt. And it came to about 17,400 as an average in those three communities. And those are the ones that are closest to the 1.7 megawatt plant that we're talking about. So the 16K pilot sounds about right.
You have to keep in mind too, when those pilots were developed in those towns, where the state of SRECs were in the state of Massachusetts, what the current state was. When Massachusetts originally rolled out their SREC program, the SREC value was $520 per SREC. Currently, it went as low as $180, but currently I believe it's around $205, $207, somewhere around that. Last I checked 30 days ago or so. So therefore, the developer didn't have the anxiety to pay a little higher pilot than they would today. I think what you're seeing now, and Dan, you'd probably even be the best one to speak about it, is the number of developers in this state are just a fraction of what they were, say, even 12 months ago. Everybody is, and that's kind of been a lot of why this project, I won't say has stalled, but has slowed quite a bit, because as a pre-developer, I've gone through and probably introduced 2 or 3 different investors to Dan, thinking that we had a project done, only to get the phone call that, hey, we're pulling out, we can't move forward because the state of the SRECs in Massachusetts. Sundurance is a very, like I said, these guys know what they're doing. They're not looking to take advantage of anybody. They know what it costs. They know they do all their own installations. They're not depending on another large installer, whether here in the state or abroad. So they're a little bit more conservative, but the project will get built. They're not going to bail out on the project, and that's probably the best way I could describe them as a developer.
Just say, Mr. Chairman, as a green project, in the 80s I installed domestic solar hot water panels, 2 panels on my roof. And those panels are still operating today, providing in the summertime just about 100% of my domestic hot water. In the wintertime it's less, only because the trees have grown over that period of time, so I don't get quite as much sun hitting the panels. And obviously you get 3 or 4 cloudy days, but I mean it's I'm impressed with what I've been able to get out of it, and obviously to me this is a great way, I think, to get into this, and hopefully we can come to an agreement, because it's just, it's a way for the future, and I've seen what it saved me, and I mean, I'm saving money. We're not gonna save money with this project, but I think over the long run, I think it's the way to go.
It certainly is. These panels have a life from the manufacturer. They'll spend for 35 years, and they'll guarantee that 0.5% per year degradation. So, say the term of this project, you're going to lose 10% efficiency, but leaves behind 90% efficiency from the day that they were installed. So it's really pretty impressive, because my cell phone doesn't have a 0.5% degradation. It's quite a bit less than that. So.
Any other questions? Or discussion? Anybody?
The town bylaws after the town meeting allow this now?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure that we can even, as a town, deny a location. The planning board did pass a bylaw for site review of the project. That's what they'll be looking at, is the kind of a site review plan to approve. But because of federal and state regulations, I'm not sure that we can even stop it from going in. I mean, Newbury went through a mess over there, and then they're still in a mess with one that they denied. So,
No, I just asked the question
Yeah.
only because this is one that has come to us as a town. How many others in what other parts of the town would we be looking at possibly down the road?
I'm not sure we're gonna beat the bushes to try to find them.
I would say probably not. Seeing as Raleigh has its own municipal light plant, basically we have to say if we basically even allow them to come onto our system. So at 1.4 megawatts, that's probably gonna be the largest solar system we're gonna have as far as the utility scale solar system. We may have applications for commercial size systems, 500 kW or less. And we may have a lot of residential systems that come on board, but nothing of this scale. And I don't think this project has even gone to the zoning or the planning board, as I know. And I think they wanted to get and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but that financial piece ironed out before I think you even went to the planning and zoning board, so.
We've spoken to the zoning board, and that's exactly what they told us.
Dan, did Ipswich put in the solar arrays down there?
I think they've spoke about it. They've got 2 windmills now, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
if they've done any solar yet. I think they're working on
Did they
it.
do something in conjunction with the school? Well, I know one of the windmills, that's for the school.
In conjunction with the school, yeah. And the second one, I think, is privately owned, but they buy the power from it.
Yeah, okay.
I think they're in the same kind of boat we are as far as the solar project goes. I think they're working on.
Did they do something a couple of years ago, maybe? Something in the back,
You're thinking of the roof of
the roof?
their town hall is an old school building, and they have
Yes,
an ideal roof situation.
okay. That was several years ago, so
They're
the,
working on something.
yeah, see, the arrays have really changed in the past, even 5 years, right? The efficiency?
And that's it, past 5 years. Solar's been around since 1957,
Mhm.
but it's really come in the last 5 years into its own. Prices of panels have come down, installation costs has come down. And then again, with here in this state with, President Obama's
Mhm.
renewable portfolio, it's really helped states with like New Jersey and Massachusetts and such, really get into the renewable energy space.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Jim, in your opening remarks, you made comment, and it was remarkable, that Sundance had 80 megawatts of power installations either installed or underway in Massachusetts. But when I look at the document you handed out, it only comes up with 17.2 megawatts in Massachusetts. There's a total of 80 throughout the country, but there's only 17.2 megawatts in Massachusetts.
Yeah, that document I don't believe is up to date as far as what they're doing in the state. You need to understand, in right now where the SREC programs are, there's a lot of developers that are under duress, and they're talking to several of them as to acquiring their projects. So the same thing happened up in Canada with their FIT programs, and same thing in New Jersey. There's a lot of consolidation, let's say.
Anybody else? Dan, you have any more comments?
No, I'm all set.
Sean? All right. Jim, thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I think we should take this under advisement and look more into this and pros and cons and where the future lies in solar. So,
Would a
with that-
motion be in order, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Okay, I would move that that both boards that we're in joint session take this under advisement and to continue researching the pros and cons of the pilot programs and to reconvene in a few weeks.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor?
Just one question,
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
Chairman. What kind of a time frame are you looking for in terms of coming up with a pilot so you can move the project forward?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. The SREC programs here in the state, the first phase closed out, they were looking for 400 megawatts of applications or of potential sites. They closed that out at the end of July, and I think that the application number ended up around 540 megawatts, so they got quite a bit more. They're talking that they're going to come out with a second phase of SREC programs, which obviously the investors are very interested in. And we have heard things, nothing official from the state, but that it would be a declining SREC value. So therefore, the projects that got into the queue the quickest would be the ones that had greater value to their owners. With that being said, I was kind of tasked with the idea that, you know, we please impress on the town that the sooner that they can get a decision, one way or the other, the quicker they can get their applications into the state and be ahead of that queue when it is released. And therefore, trying to keep the financials as they sit today. So
Will be a good time for him.
Well, I don't know if the Board of Assessors probably want to discuss it at one of their meetings. Whether they'll do that tonight or not, I don't know, but they might.
I have to recalculate everything I did.
Excuse me?
I have to recalculate everything I
Okay,
did
so
because
you-
the numbers changed from what I have.
We look at mid-September? Or
May I
Dan?
make a comment?
Sure.
We have signed, the Raleigh Light Department has signed an interconnection agreement with Sunder and Solar, and that did not make it into the first stage of the SREC program. It did get bounced back to the second stage. And for my discussion with Justin from Sunder and Solar was that September, around the beginning of September, so I'm just trying to impress upon the board maybe a quicker time frame to get this done.
Okay.
We'll be able to do something by the 26th.
I don't know.
26th of,
20th of August.
for
2
next
weeks.
meeting.
well, maybe, Mr. Chairman, we could put it on the agenda for the 26th. And then if in fact we're not ready, we can take it off the agenda, or do you want to wait until like the first meeting in
I think let's put it on
September.
let's put on the, tentatively on the agenda for the 26th. How's that sound?
Yeah, then we can always,
We can
if we're
always
not
play with
ready,
it.
we can postpone it, but I think it
Well,
provides a
hopefully-
little impetus for us all to,
Hopefully, as Dan has said, if it kicks in at September 1st, we should try to get something, if we can,
Right.
at all possible, by the 26th, and make a decision one way or the other.
Would that give,
how does that sound?
I'll be traveling on the 26th, but I'll work with you guys and Sean and the board to.
well, we'll
In the
put it on
meantime.
there tentatively for the 26th, and then see what happens the next couple of weeks.
And if anyone comes up with any objections or questions, let us all know. So that, you know, in the meantime, as we're looking at these, if we have questions or concerns between now and the 26th, that we can address to Dan or or whatever, so that on the 26th, if it's feasible, we can be prepared to move forward. If not, we can wait a week or two if it looks like we should, but it definitely sounds as though if we're interested in doing this, that we should,
And there's a light board meeting on the
Wednesday, the 14th.
14th. Okay. So that'll be on the agenda also for discussion. So, all right,
Thank you.
all right. Okay. We took the vote, right?
No, we
No,
didn't.
no.
We have a
All those-
motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
You have
Aye.
roll call?
Roll call.
By roll call vote.
Joe Perry?
I, Robert Snow.
Hi, Robert Murray.
Hi, Dave Peters.
Hi, Bill Demento.
Hi, Diane D'Angeli.
Hi, Donald Thurston.
Thank you. And can we have a motion to adjourn
I'll make that motion. Make the motion to adjourn.
the joint meeting?
I'll second.
A second. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Jack Cook.
Joe Perry?
I, Rob Snow.
Hi, Robert Murray.
Hi, Dave Peterson.
Hi, Bill Demento.
Hi, Diane D'Angeli.
Hi, Donald Thurston.
Thank you all for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Jim, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, thanks.
He enjoyed you, I'm sure you enjoyed seeing you.
Oh, yeah, we just talked and talked and talked.
Yeah,
Good discussion.
His long-term memory's good.
Excellent.
Shot, like,
We talked about the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps. And then we talked about the Marine Corps some more.
Good Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Chief, come on up. We reserved the space for you.
Sit back a little bit so I don't pull up the screen.
Okay, sorry about that, Chief, we were a little bit,
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, we're a little bit late. We're supposed to have an 8 o'clock appointment. It's now 8:06. Fire Chief Broderick to discuss ladder truck. Fire Chief Broderick has issued an addendum dated August 8th, 2013 to his original letter dated July 30th, 2013 concerning the issues with the ladder truck. Chief outlines 4 options for the selectmen to consider. I can also read this into the record. This is a little bit long. I think it's okay.
Sorry.
Well, that's,
I tried to get it as concise as I could.
all right, this is from Chief Broderick, okay, to the Board of Selectmen. There's reference to the addendum of July 30th letter to the Board of Selectmen
Yeah.
pertaining to ladder 1. Members of the board, yes? Oh, yes, it's starting to get a little warm in here. Okay. Members of the board, since I have written you, the July 30th, 2013 letter, I have been better able to gather additional information pertaining to option 1, the repair of the current ladder, and one of the potential apparatus that I discussed on option 3. There is still no used apparatus that might fit into the station available as of today, so there is no change to the report of option 2. Option 1. On Friday, August 2nd, I spoke with Seagrave South in Seagrave South in Charleston, South Carolina, and discussed the 1985 Seagrave 100-foot ladder that was in their possession. I spoke to the service manager, Johnny Williams. He informed me that the truck is still owned by the fire department, and if I was interested in it, he would give me their contact number so I could discuss the purchase of it. He then went on to say that they are more interested in selling it whole and not in part, and that he's told that they want around $7,000, Chief?
Yes.
Okay, for it as it is. The problem with it is as follows. It has been sitting outside for 5 years. The engine is no good and has blown oil pump and other issues to make it not worth repairing. The ladder cables are rusted as well as a lot of the rust on the ladder itself. It has not been certified for the last 5 years. If we decided to purchase the truck, it would need to have certification tests done to see if the ladder is still indeed serviceable. We would then need to arrange transportation for the second fly of the ladder to be brought to Massachusetts. Due to the fact that the engine is junk and the rest of the truck is not worth much, we did offer to have the truck scrapped on site, forward a check of what the scrap value of the truck would be. Once the ladder fly is in Massachusetts, it would also need to have the slide blocks installed, have any deficiencies identified in the certification test corrected, and then it would need to be painted. These costs are in addition to the labor to install the fly into the ladder. Once this is accomplished, our current ladder will need to be removed from the truck and each fly separated so that the old fly is removed and the new fly is installed into the ladder. Hopefully, during this process, there are no other issues found into the current ladder flies. Once the ladder is reinstalled on the truck, it will need to be retested so that the entire ladder is certified. This entire cost of the project is unknown. However, if we agree to the price, say $2,000, and the fire department current owner agrees to pay the certification test prior to the purchase, Riley will still need to hire a crane and operator, pay Seagrave dealer in South Carolina to remove the fly, and arrange for transportation for the fly to come to Massachusetts. If using the quote from Fleet Masters on the labor charge to install it on the truck will be at least $4,000, possibly more. It is safe to assume that this entire project will cost $20,000 and could potentially cost even more. In the end, we will have a 28-year-old truck with a tired engine, seriously outgoing electrical issues, and body rust. This is, of course, if the ladder fly is indeed capable of being refurbished. After discussing this with both Fleet Masters in Wakefield and Seagrave, South Carolina, it is felt that this would be a long shot at best. In my opinion, that this is not the best option to take. Option 2, replace the apparatus with a newer used vehicle. As of this date, August 9th, 2013, I have not been able to locate a suitable used ladder that would fit into the station, so therefore there is no change to report in this option. Option 3, replace with a new apparatus. In my original letter, I mentioned that 2 manufacturers can possibly manufacture an apparatus to fit into the building. Since the date of the original letter, I have been able to identify 2 more potential manufacturers. Manufacturers I have identified are as follows. Emergency 1, rear mount ladder. Ferrara, rear mount. Stutpin, that's Stutpin? Stutpin. Rear mount. Schmiel, I love that name, Schmiel, that's rear mount. Please remember this that this is only means that the manufacturer has produced an apparatus that fits the dimensions of the inside of the building and does not imply that we can actually get the apparatus into the building. The only other way we know for sure to bringing this vehicle to Raleigh to see if indeed we can negotiate it into the building. The description of each type of apparatus is indeed as well as the dimensions of the bays that would possibly house the truck are in order. All trucks are 100-foot ladders, and 3 of them are what you consider rear mount aerials similar to the current ladder. One is a mid-mount aerial, which means that the aerial device is mounted in the mid of the apparatus. A mid-mount aerial is usually shorter in the travel height of the rear mount aerial vehicle. In this case, the travel height of a mid-mount was about 9 foot 7 inches, which would have the fit into the door at the current ladder truck height-wise. The major issue with mid-mount ladder is that it is extremely long. In the case of the Stutpen truck, is close to 45 feet long. A rear mount ladder is usually higher in travel height between 10 foot 7.5 inches and 12 feet, but the length of the overall truck is shorter, between 38 feet long and 41 feet long. In order to evaluate the potential of these trucks to fit into the current station, I have been able to locate a demonstrator unit for the two vendors. One was the Stutpen, which had a demonstrator in the station yesterday, August 8th, 2013, and the E1, which will have their demonstrator in Raleigh on September 1st. Have not had a chance to contact Ferrera or Schmiel to see if we can arrange for a demonstrator to visit Raleigh. As I mentioned, the Stutpen was in Raleigh yesterday. While it was a productive meeting, we were able to determine that Stutpen would be able to place a truck in the Raleigh station, as it is currently would not be able to fit into the station as currently configured due to three issues. The angle of the front apron of the station is at a degree that will not allow the ladder to go into the bay without hitting the ceiling of the apparatus bay. That's because of the pitch of the ramp going
From the
up
road,
into
yeah.
the stand. So if you're
Correct.
taking the truck and you're backing it up in, you're going to have this portion, the rear portion, scrape against the ceiling.
Until the rear wheels get up in and starts leveling it out.
Okay. The width of the body truck is 100 inches, 8 foot 3 inches, which would not allow anyone to pass by the truck or go from the rear of the station to the front of the station, where the mirrors on the truck actually are 9 foot 10 inches, which is wider than the width bay of the door. The truck is too long to fit in the bay in the rear of the station. In order to accommodate this truck, the following would need to be done to the station. The front ramp, as well as the station floor, be modified to allow a better grade between the ground, the road, and the station floor, to allow the ladder to stay somewhat level as it backs into the station. The width of the door would need to be widened to allow the truck to have more room to fit between the doors. The width of the opening between the front of the building and the rear of the building would need to be widened so that the personnel would be able to get by the truck to get into the apparatus, get the truck to the other apparatus in the building. D. These changes to the building would need to be engineered to ensure that the footing and the structural integrity of the building is maintained. I do not know how much this would cost at this time. The salesman, this is 5, stated that the price of the demonstrator, as it sat yesterday, is around $750,000, plus the cost of the station renovation. The potential cost would cost close to $800,000 to $850,000. If we were to order the truck, the cost would be closer to $800,000 for the truck alone. That was the truck that we saw, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. For the rear mount ladders, I have located all three of them and are less than 11 feet high in travel height, and all three of them are between 38 feet 1 inch and 38 feet 8 inches long. 2 of them are on 3 axles, and one of them is 2 axles, similar to the truck, our current truck. While shorter in length than the Stutpen, there are wider and are taller. Therefore, they cannot fit into the current ladder bay. After some discussion, we have identified that the current bay, where the E3 has 11, excuse me?
Engine 3 sits.
Engine 3 sits, has 11 foot high and a 12 foot wide door. Although the bay is currently configured, is only 29 feet deep. with the removal of the partition of the wall in the old boiler room, removal of asbestos ceiling, and making the kitchen back to its original configuration. This will allow us to use the entire depth of the new and part of the station to its full length of 39 feet 8 inches. We will also need to relocate the water heater and the 2 Modine heaters in the bays, allow the clearance for the ladder in the middle bay and the engine 3 in this new bay. In order to know if the middle bay can be used for a 38-foot long truck, we attempted to back ladder 1 into the bay. Although ladder 1 has a wider turning radius, we were able to get the truck into the bay with no problems, and it was able to leave with no problems. This makes the bay a viable option if we remove the partition walls. If we use this bay for the ladder truck, engine 3 will be removed over to into one bay into F1 is located. F1 has been retired due to overweight, and has issues that will be disposed of. It will, in other words,
The old forestry truck, the old
okay. This this will open up into the bay where the current EMS cabinets and the station day room can be relocated in the front of the station. The cost of the renovation would be less than the front bay, but I am in no position to guess what the cost might be. The 2-axle demonstrator from E1 will be in Raleigh sometime around September 20th and is also available for purchase. The salesman from E1 stated it would be around $600,000 if it is still available. I'll provide additional information to the board on option 3 after I contact Spiel dealer and Ferrara dealer. Option 4, do nothing. As fire chief, I do not feel that this option is the best interest of the town, and there is no diverse range of occupancies in the town to constantly rely on mutual aid for the ladder truck. In closing, while I still cannot give accurate numbers for the 3 options involving cost, I believe I have enough information to make a wise decision for the repair of the current truck. As I receive more information, I will pass it along to the board. I would also like to acknowledge the fact that there were members of the board at the station for the on August 8th, and I thank you for taking part of that time. Respectfully, Chief Broderick. So, Chief, the other day, myself, Selectman Perry, and Selectman Murray, we went over to the over to the fire station, and we saw that new engine, that demo that came. Beautiful truck. And he was looking for a check from me, but he's the salesman, but
Always are.
they always are. But it was a beautiful truck, wouldn't you say, Joe?
Oh, I want one.
Yeah, yeah, we all do. And we also know how important the ladder is, okay? Because, and Bob, you can attest to this because you were in the fire department. When you have a fire, you may not use the ladder all the time, but especially was the fire that we had down on Central Street, the importance of having a ladder to get water on top of a building to knock down, the fire in order to control the fire. And I know there's a lot of towns around that people complain and say, why do we have a ladder truck? Well, when you need one, you sure as heck need a ladder truck. And you can attest the same thing. Right,
Yep.
Jack? I mean, you're on the fire department. So, anyways, Chief, you go forward with anything you have.
Well, I've done some more research, and without being redundant in everything you read, a lot of this stuff is still the same. The one thing I can tell you is that with the Ferrara and the Smeal truck, as I've done more research, the trucks that they normally sell, there are in their catalog, are too tall and too long for Engine 3's bay. The 2 trucks that they have were specially designed for 2 large municipal fire departments in New York, one being New York City, which was the Ferrara dealer, and Smeal did Yonkers, New York. To get a truck of each one of those types up here to see if they'll fit in the bill, and there's 2 chances, and Slim left town. The Smeal, the last truck that they built of that size was in 2007, so I don't know if it's even a truck that's even they're capable of building anymore because of different chassis. What the cost of these 2 trucks are, I have no idea. I held up calling them until after tonight to see which direction we would be heading, because the one thing I don't want to do is waste everybody's time here. I know that whatever the cost is going to be, it's going to be a significant amount of money. And unless I can come across a used truck that's fairly new, which is what my ultimate goal was to find a newer used truck that was, in the early 2000s to where you can still get 25 years life out of it. They're just not out there. These trucks are huge. Unfortunately, for us, the building gives us some unique challenges. Right now, I think the E1 truck has the best potential because it's similar in the truck to the design of the truck we have, where it's on 2 axles versus the 3. It's going to have a better chance of getting into Engine 3's bay than the other ones are, because they're tri-axle, 3 axles. So the turning radius could be a little bit more, and the potential is going to be for a lot of wear on the tires, because we're making 90% of the time we're going to make 3 left turns right off the bat, out onto the apron, out on the Hammond Street, and most likely a left on the Main Street. So I don't know where we're going.
Just to explain to the people at home, say this is my poor representation of a fire truck. If this is the front of the truck here, and you have a rear mount ladder, your ladder would be here.
Right.
Okay.
It would go over the cab of the
truck. It would go over the cab of the truck. Because it goes over the cab of the truck, the height of the truck is higher because you have it in the rear mount.
Right.
If it's a mid mount, now the ladder is here mounted in the rear.
Truck.
Now the truck gets longer.
Right.
Okay.
And longer, and has a wider rear swing, so that you could have problems getting down tight roads.
That is the reason that we have the problem with the firehouse, the way it is, any truck that we were trying to purchase to bring in, because of those 2 issues, because of height and the length of the truck.
Right.
So,
the E1 is the small, shorter of all of them. It's a 100-foot ladder truck. Whether it gets in and out, we won't know till it gets here. But what I could do is, I'll call for the Ferrara dealer, and I'll call the Smeal dealer and see if they have something, or they can give me an idea if they will even build these trucks for outside of the departments that special ordered them. To ask how much New York City paid for the Ferrara is kind of a hard question to answer, because they put into their contract a 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. Covers everything for the first 5 years that the truck is in service. So they pay a lot more money up front for it than what we would. However, it'd be a onesie to a specially designed truck, so it's going to be up there in price if they build it.
The other day when I was down there, I asked you the question. I'll ask it so people at home hear the same question, and they may be thinking the same thing. Why do we need a 100-foot ladder versus a 60-foot ladder?
Well, a 60-foot ladder is only 60 feet straight up in the air. Most of our problems, although we do have some tall buildings in town that are up there in height, it's the reach that we need. Because of the setback off the road, we may not be able to, with a 65-foot ladder, because part of the height of the ladder that they use is from the ground up to the base of the ladder platform. That's around 7 feet, right off the top of the bed, top of the, your 60-foot ladder just shrunk 7 feet. And same with a 75-foot ladder, there's 7 feet off of that. With a 100-foot ladder, 7 feet off of that, but a 100-foot ladder is 93 feet versus 60. You're making me do math here.
Yeah,
to show you how
53
bad
foot.
it is. It just gets down below 70 feet. So it really, it's the reach that you want and not so much the height. And that's why we need a 100-foot ladder versus anything smaller. Also, with the 75-foot ladders, a lot of them are tall because they have pumps and tanks built into it, which raises the entire height of everything. So they end up being taller than 11 feet, which is the height of the door in the new part of the building, which is the 64 edition. Is that correct, Bob?
Sure.
And it's also, they're almost as long. So we could end up with a truck that's too long for the building because of the way it was designed. And there's a lot of those trucks out there, the 75-footers, but the way that they're designed, I can't fit them in the building, even if we knock the partition walls out. They're over 40 feet long. And then again, off the side, you're only 60, 65.
What's the width of the truck now, Chief? That's
The one we have now, I really don't know. It's not as it's got about 3 inches on each side of the current bay that it sits in.
Yeah.
So and that bay is 9'9", so it's like with the mirror, it's probably around 9'3" wide. So that's probably as wide as it is. But a lot of them now, they're over 100 inches, just the width of the truck. Then you add the mirrors onto them, which stick out pretty far, so you can see all the way down to the back of it. They end up being 9 foot 10 inches wide with the mirrors. And there's things that they can do to change them a little bit. And one of them is the bus style mirrors. But they go forward of the truck, and from experience with those style mirrors at West Point, where we had a ramp similar to the one we have, well, it looks good up into the ceiling, but you can't see the ground. So if you're not paying attention, you're off a little bit and you could be hitting something. But that's where we're at. None of these options are great. We just have to determine which one is the better of the four. And I wish I had the answer to tell you.
That ladder that's down in South Carolina, that's been sitting outside for 5 years.
5 years. I've seen pictures of it. There's a lot of rust on it.
Yeah.
I talked to the dealer down there, and I tell you, he was as honest as the day is long, and told me a little bit about the truck. He said, "There's no guarantees that this thing is going to even be worth repairing." And to spend all that money to bring it up here and find out that, I don't think that's a wise investment. The truck is 28 years old as it sits now. We have serious electrical issues. It's always going down for repairs on the electrical system. The engine's tired. We were 7 to 10 years when we bought it. We're at year 7 now, and which is pretty much what I figured the life expectancy of the truck was. And we all know the history of this truck. It's been one heartache after another.
You know, part of the fire station committee, going around to see other fire stations and other fire companies. I mean, Chief, we went over to Newbury, over to Byfield operation. We went in and they had an engine there. I think it was $185,000 they had purchased.
Yes.
From a Long Island.
Yes, a ladder, 75-foot ladder truck.
75-foot ladder truck. Well, it was a platform. Is it a platform?
No, it was just
Is it a ladder?
Straight ladder, yeah.
It's been a while since we went over there, but they have a station with a big door and a big bay that they can put this into, and they were able to purchase this at a reduced price down in Long Island, where it didn't get the use, but again, you need to have a lift vehicle. So it's absolutely, when you look at it, I thought it was a brand new vehicle that they had purchased, but it was probably brand new. It probably went, what, 500 at that time?
At that time was probably close to that, yes.
So it probably, today it would be a $800,000, $900,000 vehicle, maybe
Well, as you're seeing from
Yeah,
some of the
in
prices,
the
yeah,
price.
you're gonna, a 75-foot ladder is probably closer to the $550,000-$600,000 range right now, a brand new one. The 100-foot ladders, you get it with a pump and all that.
What I'm driving at is
They're a lot of money.
is the size of the station, our station.
Right.
Because of the size of our station, it limits what we can put in there.
Absolutely.
And I am not, thinking about digging out the front of the station and putting a pitch on there to bring a ladder truck in. We don't know what the structural damage will be done to this to a building that is how old? 100 years old?
I'll refer all that to your colleague there. He knows more about it than I
Well,
do.
the building itself, the main building, which is the part where the ladder truck is parked in, was an old grocery store. And it was moved across Main Street in between Mo's building and the post office and made into the fire station in 1934.
Wow.
So it's turn of the century at the very best. It's probably mid-1800s.
Yep.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Dave.
as far as I'm concerned, when we had the discussion to buy the new pumper truck 5 years ago, we sat here and went through this exact same dimensional discussion. And put together a fire station committee knowing that any engine we bought from that day forward was going to create huge problems. I don't know where that stands, but I think the issue we need to face is we need a station. And I will not vote to put a nickel into modifying that station. It's a nightmare. You open up old walls, take out old plumbing, we all know what happens. It just leads to more and more costs.
Yes.
We need to find a solution to a station because you mentioned a while back that we're going to need another pumper truck in a couple of years. We're going to go through the exact same discussion we're going through now. Plus, the tolerances are so small there that if someone backs in a couple inches off or pulls out a couple inches off, we're going to do some substantial damage to the engine as well as the building.
And some issues.
And I think people need to know that we need to do something with the station. And as far as I'm concerned, if the town wants to buy a new ladder truck, and I don't see any way that we can go up and buy some piece of junk again. I mean, it's just,
No, I don't want to go
let's
down
get
that
real here.
road.
Every time,
I don't want to go down that road.
from my own lifestyle, I know every time I've tried to do something on the cheap, in the end it costs me more. So if we're
agree.
going to need a ladder truck, we need to convince the taxpayers to buy a new one. We need to look at a station. I mean, Ipswich, when they bought their new ladder truck, put an addition on the back. Now, I understand there's no room at this station to do that. Maybe we do something at the highway department, but we need to look at alternatives. If we can't find a location for a new station, and I have no idea what the status of the fire station committee is and where that stands, but I think we need to we need to look at a number of alternatives. If land we were looking at isn't available, we need to look at. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, to take a piece of land that the town owns now, put the highway department, move the highway department over there, and put the fire department at the. At least they can park the trucks inside of the highway department and develop. I don't know. I don't have an answer, but we need to start looking at some sensible options because I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm not even in favor of buying a ladder truck if we don't have any place to put it. And this is listening to this discussion it's embarrassing for the town and for you people to have people come in and look at that station and say, well, we're trying to find a special ladder truck to fit in the station. It's way too small. And we all know it's too small, and I think we need to put a concerted effort into getting a temporary if we're going to get if we can convince the taxpayers, number one, to buy a ladder truck.
Well, the last time
that we need to get if it's a location off the fire station site to park it inside, maybe that's what we got to do. But we need to look at some long-term solutions here and get on the stick.
Dave, I think you were on when they bought the ladder. Were you on the?
No, I was before me.
Okay,
I was in between.
but I remember coming to meetings. There was a battle royale over the ladder.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
It was not what I wanted to do to begin with.
But the other thing is, I want to have a discussion here tonight, so the people understand the problems that we face every time we try to buy a piece of apparatus for that station, okay? The station has outgrown its use. It really has. And in order to get a vehicle, we really need a new station. And
Plus, Bob, Mr. Chairman, like the chief says, just to get apparatus in and out of the station, you gotta make those turns,
Yes.
and you got that corner where the light is. I mean, that's a horrendously difficult spot. And I can't emphasize enough that as far as I'm concerned, we need a new location of some sort, whether it's temporary or, like I say, I'm willing to take the highway department, build them a block building somewhere on a piece of land we already own, if it comes to that. But to put a nickel into that old station over there is we're just throwing money down the drain.
I agree.
And we're opening a sewer of problems. And the next time we buy a fire engine, how are we going to maneuver that time to get that one in?
You're exactly right, Dave. 2 years, we gotta be looking at another one.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't have a solution, but I think,
in the
Our
50s and
I think this is
60s.
the time to look at it
Yeah.
with the need we have. If we have to do mutual aid for a year or something, but something needs to light a fire under us, under the town.
Please don't use those words, sir.
No, I'm sorry, yeah. You're right. A Freudian slip. But I mean,
Point taken.
something needs to be done we have a major crisis in
Yes.
terms of a station, as well as, we got two crises now. We got a station crisis and an apparatus crisis. Plus, we're looking at the police department that's got its own situation up there with its building. So, I mean, we got some huge infrastructure problems here.
And if you remember back
We need to face.
10, 12 years ago when we went looking for a joint building for police and fire,
1997, 88, 98, the
98.
first year I was here.
and that lost by what, 46 votes?
No, that was the second one. It was
That
early.
was the second one. That was the second one.
Lost by about
And,
56 votes.
and if you look at it, if all the townspeople look at it and think about this, if we had put it in at that time and built it, we would have refinanced it at a cheaper interest rate right now, and we probably would have built it for about $3 million.
The first one was $4 million in 1998, and the second one was about $6 in early 2000.
Okay.
I would be afraid to guess what
We're probably
a
talking.
standalone, never mind combined.
We're probably
facility.
talking $10 million now
At least.
to do it in a joint building. But we have to do something. We just can't keep,
Shoehorning things.
We have to fight for it anyway. If
And we're gonna have to
taxpayers
fight
don't
for
want
it.
to buy it, that's one thing, but I think we have to fight for it, and we have to present the whole.
The other thing is we have to
taxpayers.
protect
Let
the-
them make the decision.
we have to protect the citizens of Raleigh. That's our sworn duty, what to do, all of us here. So, I think, Chief, there's been summer vacations and everything else for the fire station committee, and that will be coming probably within the next 2 weeks,
Probably
hopefully.
September.
And
I'm
we'll
on
start to
vacation,
meet
Friday
again.
For 2 weeks.
We'll start to meet again, and we have to seriously look at this. Now, engine 1 and engine 3, what are the dates on those?
Engine.
This is for the people out there, so they
Engine
know.
1 is a 2009 truck that
Okay.
was, the bond will be paid off at the end of this fiscal year.
Okay,
Engine 3 was bought in 2002, and believe it or not, that's 11 years old this year. Engine 4, which is our reserve pumper,
Right.
our third pump, is 1987. And
now
in the
let's go back to, engine 1 is what date?
2009.
2009. Okay, so we go back to engine 3, which we bought in 2002. That really needs to be replaced.
Engine, what the NFPA requires, recommends, it's a standard, it's not a law, it's what they recommend, is trucks should be retired from service after 25 years. Usually 20 years as a primary truck, and then 5 years in reserve status, and then dispose of because of mechanical, it gets worn out, rust, new safety features are put in all the time, emission standards change. So they recommend 25 years as the life of a piece of fire apparatus. Right now we have 2 trucks that are over the 25 years. That's the ladder and engine 4. And you could say engine 3 is midlife. It's
Midlife.
halfway through its service life.
So we would, if we got rid of the other engine, I can't think of the other, 4, okay, which it should be,
That should be replaced.
that should be retired.
Right.
Okay, so 3 would move into that status.
Correct.
Okay, and 1 would move over,
The secondary
The
truck.
secondary
and
truck.
then the new truck would
and then
be
the
the
new
primary
truck.
truck.
So we're really talking,
Right. The goal is that I know it's a goal, but the idea is that every 5 years you're replacing something. After one's paid off, then that's how you get the 25
I
years.
think if I remember correctly, you told me engine 3, if that doesn't have the safety features, correct?
It has safety features that are better than what
Engine 4.
Engine 4 has. It doesn't have the safety features that were incorporated into Engine 1.
Engine
Every
1.
year there's something
Right.
new that gets put into them. Right down to
it's
now
not-
they have recorders that track how fast it was going, when the brakes were applied.
Right.
It's just like a plain black box. But yeah, every year they come out with new safety. So every truck or any piece of fire equipment is only as good as the day it was bought. That's when it was state of the art. Every year it gets less and less.
I didn't mean that engine 1 would be, engine 3 would be replaced, but it would move over to the status of engine 4.
Correct.
And
That
we
would
really
be
should be thinking about another engine to come in.
correct. Engine 4, for example, is the only truck we have now that has open jump seats, meaning that there isn't doors
Right.
for all 4 riding positions.
We're looking, Mr. Chairman, we're looking at a ladder truck, say, maybe if we're lucky, 800,000, you add interest costs in it. Do we do 5-year, I know we did the pumper for 5 years, does the ladder truck go for 5 years, or do we? But I mean, you're talking probably, I don't know, 4, I'm not an economist, but 400,000 or 500,000 in interest cost over 4 or 5 years or whatever, and then if you're talking on a pumper truck, and then we're talking a station, I mean, we're talking, the apparatus alone, we're talking $1.5 million just to buy the apparatus, let alone what the interest costs are gonna be. I mean, we need to really take a look at what we're doing here, but I mean, I still say, we can buy all the engines we want, if we don't have a building to put them in. On top of that, the building over there is totally inadequate for the firemen. I mean, it's not just the apparatus, it's the working conditions, the bathroom, showers, men's and ladies' facilities, handicap access. I mean, that building is totally,
It's outgrown.
totally, it's a danger, it's literally a danger to our firemen and to our town.
Served the town well for a long time, but it's
We have
longer
2
than
buildings in town, the fire station and the police station. I'm sorry. Both of them are inadequate for a fireman and for a policeman. Both of them. I mean, if you go into the police station, I mean, basically, what do they call it? We kind of joke about the Pizza Hut.
Police huts.
And you got 4, we just signed a lease for 4 containers that stick on the side of the building. We have to really think about, buildings to protect our apparatus. But that's for another day. But we have a problem with the ladder right now.
And the main reason for me tonight was to keep you apprised of what's going on. And if I can find a used truck, I'll be the first one to tell you. They're not out there right now. And I don't know the answer to this problem.
We had to build engine 1 specially for the station.
Well, engine 1 we had a little bit more because it's a foot longer than engine 3. Engine 3 we had to build to fit the station.
But it was a custom engine.
Yes, we could have bought a similar truck for a lot less money if it was a program.
We would
truck.
save $50,000 or $60,000, I think.
Probably, yes. But because we had to
fit it in the station,
shoehorn it in, and make it do what we wanted it to do, which fortunately for us, those 2 trucks are doing exactly what we hoped they would do. So it's not something where we had to take whatever and then suck it up. Both of them have done everything we hoped that they would do, and we're very happy with them. Sometimes that doesn't happen. But yeah, it does put you into a position where you don't have a little bit more leeway to find something that's already been designed that you could use.
We want a ladder truck, is to look at parking it somewhere besides the fire station. I don't know what that option is or how that would work, and I realize that it would make situations difficult, but the ladder truck doesn't go out on every single call. And in fact, most times, I'm assuming it's the last truck out because you gotta wait for people to get there to man it.
Yeah.
And I don't wanna get into that, but in other words, what I'm saying is if we had to park a ladder truck at, let's say, the highway department, is probably the only other town building where we could
That
do
would
some
probably be, yes,
maneuvering.
that has enough room that we could.
To me, that's a much better option than doing anything to that building. It's over there as it currently stands, so I think we need to,
that's
on
an
an
option.
emergency basis, look at it. Are we gonna get a ladder truck or not? And if we are, then where are we gonna park it? And then we get into the station, the whole station aspect, because the taxpayers may not give us a station, so I mean, we've gotta look at all the alternatives, so.
I think people gotta realize, I mean, this has
Well, we're in a
been
crisis,
going on
yeah.
for, what, 15 years, 12 years? What I would like to see, as being a member on the board, is proposing a public safety.
Yep.
The police are gonna be looking for something within 3 or 4 years down the road. All right, it's gonna cost money, but let's build public safety
Well,
at a nice
Well,
spot,
the way I look at
or
it,
get
Jack,
on it. You know what I mean?
the way I look at it is if the police can replace their current workspace over there with an addition of some sort, and if we have to, we put a fire headquarters over there. I know it's been looked at previously, but
Well,
to go out and buy a piece of land is a whole additional expense that's out of sight.
this discussion is, you know, we tonight was really about the ladder, but we talked about the overall condition of the fire department, okay? And I think what we have to do is go back to the fire station committee and get that moving again. Now that the summer months are coming to an end, we'll move forward. Let's make a suggestion, you know, from the board to have them look at a joint facility, you know, as public safety building, and I think that's what we really need to do. So,
But I'd like to suggest of the options. Option one of going down to that South Carolina or deal, I would suggest doing that. And opt not that we can't do nothing.
no.
Right. And I agree, option one is just, I think, throwing good money after bad.
Yep.
And I was hoping that's the way you guys would look at it too, but that's just, it's one more.
Do I have a motion from the board to ask the fire station committee to look at a joint building?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will send that forward to the fire station committee with a recommendation from the Board of Selectmen to look for a public safety building. That sound good, Jack? Okay.
You
Janet, how does
just,
that fit in with the prior request to have the police chief look into a permanent addition to the
Right.
current facility? Because he's already, as you know, I've
right,
given you
he's
the
the-
update from him, so that,
I think, Mr. Chairman, we still need to go forward. I think we need to look at 2 or 3
Both.
things at the same time here.
Yep.
I mean, that's not costing us anything. Let's get the options on the table, and then we can start having something on paper that we can look at
Right.
to start making some decisions. And I can only say to the fire station committee that we need to emphasize to them that time is of the essence here. And if they need to come before us and discuss some alternative options to whatever they've been looking at, then we really need to do that, because we don't have time to sit on our hands. at this
No, we
point.
don't. And looking down the road, you know, looking at the financial condition of the country and everything else, they're still talking about interest rates probably being low into the end of 2015. So,
If I could say, not that we're off track, but the committee has worked diligently and tried to find a lot of different alternatives, and we've hit one dead end after another. The group is, you know, wishes they had more to show for, but we did do a lot of work.
It's been very frustrating trying to find a piece of land. It is, you know, Chief, we've done just about everything trying to turn up a piece of land.
Find something that was suitable.
Go to-
Chief, just one question to you. There's a little issue with the water department where the police station sits right now. To me, there's plenty.
There was
Right.
one day ball field were back then,
Yep.
and then you have the playground there. That could potentially be the problem that we have to overcome. Is how do we get everything to work down there? And if I remember correctly, there was a lot of concern on the second building that we looked at with the access roads and all that. And,
There's some issues there, and I think that we need the fire station committee.
but yeah, we actually the fire. I had my time off. We were looking at those. Revisit that piece of land again. That is still something that being a viable project. Let's hope that now that we can, at least have discussions to see if we can still land. Because I don't know if regulations have changed any since 2000.
We can always explore it and take a look at it, and if anything, we can come back.
Even
and-
with your ball fields there now, if you drive in where they dump
Yep.
the Christmas trees to the left going in, look at the station goes back.
It
They're
was-
not going to hurt nothing as far as let them
We
play
looked
ball.
at the last and that was a public safety building at that time. Kevin and I were actually Debbie and I. We took a trip down to Boston to talk to DEP about it, and there was a lot of good stuff about that parcel. It's just it was local
Yep.
authority having jurisdiction
Well,
was doing it.
Let's not explore
No.
that here tonight. Let's
Right.
give that to the committee to move forward with, okay? Chief, I guess explore those other two options.
I will continue looking, and as soon as I have some more information, I'll pass it along to the board.
You'll be gonna be vacation, right?
I'll be back on September 3rd.
Okay. So we'll plan to hear from you in September, okay?
Yep. And I'll update you once I talk to them tomorrow. I'll talk to both salesmen, and what they tell me, I'll forward to the board, so you
Okay.
at least you know what's going on with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Any
Thank
other?
you.
Okay. Chief, thanks for coming in tonight.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Chief.
My letter for vacation.
The
I gotta kill two birds.
Chief, good night. Thank
Night
you.
now.
Good night.
Good night, Chief.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Have a good night.
That was in the general business, right? Next one. Okay, I'm gonna move on to,
Labor Day, I'll be better.
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I know that
We're gonna-
8:15 with Mr. Boudreau was canceled.
yes, that's been canceled.
Can I ask a question regarding that, or can I make a,
Yes, sure, Dave.
the planning, that, I don't know what you want to call it, that event at that location is causing a lot of consternation amongst various town boards and officials. And, not too long ago, the planning board, the town planner gave us a sample and recommended that we put together an event, a single event like that application. And she gave us a couple of forms, or one form anyway, as a sample of, and I think this, whatever happens on Fennel Drive at this point, I think, can we take a look at putting together an application process, because I think we need to have one document that contains all the information. I mean, everything we've gotten on this project at Fennel Drive has been via email or,
Well,
word of mouth or.
Reading the news.
And I'd like this board to ask, I don't know how we do it, whether it would take a town bylaw or just a regulation from the
Well,
board, but.
Mr.
to
Chairman, we
require
do
an
have
applica-
we have an
formal
application form that we use for the town common. If you'd like us to modify that, so we have a standard application form, it comes in here, you have to fill it out and to use the town common. We can certainly modify it. This happened to be initially presented as private property entirely. I was unaware that there was a small portion on a public road, but we can certainly modify what our existing form. We had some nice examples from the town planner, and make something broader that would include some road races and things like that if the board wants to.
Because I just, and it just in passing, not to dwell on it any longer, but Amesbury's had a number of these destination events up there. Some of them have gone well, other ones they've had some real issues with. And I just think that whatever happens on this one, we need to get a handle so that in the future there's a process and everybody gets involved.
Right.
And
I think external events are going to, from reading in the newspaper, going to take this out of our hands.
I hope so.
Okay? So, where this stands tonight, I was hoping that Mr. Boudreau would be in here tonight to talk to us, but
And we did, Mr. Chairman, we sent it also to the planning and building inspector. I had that discussion with Mr. Murray because we wanted them to review for zoning. Is this under the zoning bylaws? Are these types of events, they're going to be occurring at this location quite frequently in a business or something? We needed to have that reviewed for zoning as well. I wasn't sure,
Yeah,
but
I
it
mean,
came
they
back negative. There was
The
nothing.
planning board did mention the fact that, if there's going to be a number of these events, they need to look at, long-term, we need to look at, it's got to be something that everybody that comes in for an event over a certain size or whatever, if it's similar to what we do in the common, fine, it's probably got to be much more extensive, but at least it's on the record, and then every board knows what its obligations are, or the chief's highway or whoever it is, and then because right now, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like we've gotten bits of, this is an event with probably potentially 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people if it goes fully, and we got bits and pieces here, bits and pieces. We don't even know if the residents on the street have been advised.
that was one of my concerns. It's, I asked that question, and
Yeah, it's just
nothing. I was told, oh yes, we're going to talk to them, and
so I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we ask the town administrator to look at putting together a sample application form for special events. I don't know if that's the right terminology for the application, but to get back to us, at some point in the future, so that we can formalize the process, be prepared, and if future events should come along.
I'll second that motion. Mr. Peters
I
made.
have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Yeah, because it was rather ragtag.
This is a nightmare. An absolute
It
nightmare
was.
as far as I'm concerned.
I mean,
It
we
would be
can't.
struggle, on top of that, we're being strung along as if everything else fails, they'll come to Raleigh, you know what I mean? It's-
Well, we were
it's-
receiving bits and pieces.
Yeah.
We never got,
So
we never got the straight scoop on what was going to happen, how it was going to be done.
How about the request from Mr. Boudreau to come in on the 26th?
yeah, he can come in off,
He can come in,
All right.
but then
Chief
again,
Roderick won't be here.
from reading the
and-
newspapers, I'm seeing something else. So
Exactly.
I mean, if he wants to come in, that's fine, I mean,
Okay.
anyways, it
if
is.
he's not coming, he won't be, I'm sure of that.
Yeah, if it works out in Gloucester.
I want to move on to old business. Okay, so I'm going to go to old business number 1. I have quite a bit to read here. This is in regards, okay, discuss report from town council regarding planning board memo on market basket permit changes. You leaving, Dave?
I'll be right back.
No, he brought that.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead, proceed.
Okay.
Go see a man about a horse.
Okay. Okay, town council has submitted an attached report in response to the selectmen's request to have her review the planning board's June 24th, 2013 letter concerning decision to modify a special permit and site plan granted to Demoulas Market Basket. For the past several months, the Cedarwood Lane abutters to Market Basket property have expressed concerns to the Board of Selectmen over the process that was being followed on changes to the buffer area between the backyards and Market Basket store. The abutters met with the Selectmen this past spring, addressed concerns. The Selectmen sent a letter to the Planning Board on May 22nd, 2013, articulating the residents' concern with the leveling of the wooded buffer area between their backyards and Market Basket. The residents filed another list of concerns with the Board of Selectmen on July 15, 2013. The residents at this time were questioning the process in which the planning board made its decision to amend the site plan and special permit. The abutters specifically asked about the legality of the June 24, 2013 letter from the planning board. There are questions on the documents on other documents were recorded in the appeals period. So we're going to repeat that. There are questions on the documents on other documents were recorded in the appeals period. No public hearings were held by the planning board prior to approving the changes to the existing permit and plan, thereby denying the abutters the legal right to speak and be heard on their concerns. Now we have town council report. The selectmen need to read this, and I'm going to read this whole thing into the record. After it's read in the record, it needs to be discussed by us. So this is a memo, okay, memorandum from Brackett and Lucas, our counselors at law. Okay, this is from Judith Pickett, attorney. This is dated August 5th, 2013. This in regards to Market Basket minor modification decision to move the supermarket. Maybe I'm gonna need some more water, definitely. Thank you. This is one glass of water.
Get the picture for you.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
Anybody else?
Again, this is regards to Market Basket minor modification decision to move the supermarket Markets Incorporated. The Board of Selectmen has suggested that I review the planning board's decision to grant a minor modification to a special permit and site plan review originally granted October 24th, 1989. Let me get the copy that I marked up, because I have it, that I was working on this afternoon. This is the same document, just that has some highlights. The applicant, Demoulas Market Basket, located at 225 Newburyport Turnpike, requested the modifications in order to provide screening for the abutters adjacent to the applicant's recently installed 2010 leaching field. The planning board decided that this was a minor modification, did not need to comply with the notice in the hearing requirements set out in Massachusetts law, section 40A, sections 9 and 11. The minor modification letter of decisions was voted on June 19, 2013. The decision filed with the town clerk on June 24th and recorded at the Registry of Deeds in Book 3264-8, page 338, on July 12, 2013. Attached to the memorandum is numbered list of recorded permits that are associated with Demoulas Supermarkets Incorporated site, aka Market Basket. 1. A new placement of landscape screening provision is not a minor modification when the prior approved screening was removed without modifying the site plan approval or site plan. Massachusetts law, section 40A, sections 9 and 11 require that special permit granting authorities must hold public hearings after complying with detailed procedures for notifying both the parties and the public. Massachusetts general law, section 40A, 11, 5 and 7 require that the granting of variance or special permit or any extension, modification, or renewal thereof must set forth compliance with the statutory requirements for the issuance of such permit and certify that copies of the decision in all plans referred to the decision have filed with the planning board and municipal clerk, and that no such permit shall take effect until recorded in the registry of deeds with certification of the town clerk. The special permit granting authority, when modifying or amending a special permit, must comply with the same statutory requirements regarding notice and a public hearing as it had and when it was granted the special permit in the first instance. A special permit granting authority has the same discretion to amend a special permit as it has to grant a special permit in the first instance. Barlow versus Planning Board of Wayland, 1964 Mass, is that correct?
Mass Appellate
Okay,
Court.
Appellate Court, 321, 2005. A special permit granting authority has inherent power to correct an inadvertent or clerical error in a discussion so that the record reflects its true intention, but that the board may not make a substantive amendment which changes the results of an original deliberate decision or which grants the relief different from the originally granted without the compliance with the relevant notice and hearing requirements. Tenneco Oil Company versus City Council of Springfield, Massachusetts, 406 Mass, 658 199, quoting Huntington versus Zoning Board of Appeals of Hadley, 12 Mass, Appellate Court 710, 714, N4, 1981. See also Selectmen of Stockbridge versus Monument Inn Incorporated, 8 Mass, Appellate, is that Appellate Court?
Yes.
158, 1979. Thus, the inherent power to amend or modify a special permit without complying with the required statutory provisions involving notice and hearing are limited to inadvertent or clerical errors or field changes in a plan, but any substantive modification or amendment requires following the same procedure as was required for original permit. The 2013 letter of decision does not describe which prior condition or conditions are being modified or which prior site plan is being revised. I have no legible copies of old or new site plans, so I cannot comment on the revisions or modifications to the site plan. The site plan approval dated October 5th, 1989, recorded in Book 1282-9, page 104, recorded on November 11th, 1994, contains a condition, number 8, which reads, C.T. Mal, in place of landscaping, shall be reviewed by the board or its authorized agent, if deemed necessary. The planning board shall require additional landscaping in the future. See permit list number 2. The 1989 site plan approval and the 1989 special permit were amended in 1992 and recorded in 1994. See book 1286-2, page 335, special permit. In book 1286-2, page 338, site plan approval. Only the site plan approval was amended with respect to landscaping. See condition 1A, which struck prior condition number 8 and replaced it with condition 2, C and 2E. There is reference to decision to the revised site plan dated October 1, 1992. See permit list number 5 and number 6. The 2013 letter of this decision did not address what specific conditions were being amended or whether the modification consisted an entirely new condition to the 1992 amended site plan approval. Similarly, there is no indication what portion of the 1992 site plan was modified or revised. In any event, a change or conditions, the addition of a new condition or revision or amendment to the site plan does not constitute a clerical error, an inadvertent mistake, or simple field change. Sometime prior to 2010, installation of the subsurface disposable system and landscape screening to the abutter's property was removed in order to facilitate the construction of subsurface disposal system. Removal of screening prior to amending the relevant permits would be a violation of the conditions in the amended special permit, site plan approval, and site plan. Any such significant landscape changes should have been subject of a modification hearing in advance of such work. Excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, there is a footnote to that that's a relevant
Oh,
explanation.
down the
of that.
bottom, footnote. The subsurface disposal, this is footnote number 2. Subsurface disposal construction permit does not override the special permit and site plan approval permits. The special permit and site plan approval and subsurface disposal system construction permit are separate independent permits. An after-the-fact modification without compliance with the subsistent and procedural statutory requirements is not consistent with the language in Massachusetts General Law 40A, Sections 9 and 11, or the case law. There should have been reference in the letter of the decision setting out the facts concerning the removal of prior screening and the need for new conditions regarding screening. In any event, the issuance of the letter of discussion should have involved an actual hearing with posting publications of notice and notice sent to the parties in interest. It is very troubling that recorded letter of decision looks like a special permit modification. It would mislead anyone reviewing the document into thinking that such a permit was actually been issued. Number 2, miscellaneous problems associated with minor modification decision. As a side note, there was a flurry of recording activity that accompanied the recording of the 2013 letter of decision. Multiple documents were re-recorded in one document that should not have been recorded. An application form, along with the abutters list of assessor's map, was recorded in lieu of the actual permit. Since the recorded application is not a permit, it is not included in the permit list, but the recording information is noted in permit list. The 2013 letter of decision makes reference to the special permit in the site plan review granted on October 24, 1989, and modified on December 17, 1992. These references do not identify the correct documents. The identification of the documents being modified should be cited to record book page number of those documents, not to a date. The October 24, 1989 document is the special permit. See permit list number 1. And the December 17, 1992 document is amended site plan approval. See permit list number 6. Therefore, the 2013 letter of decision only pertains to the amended site plan approval. The amended special permit was not modified by the 2013 letter of decision. See 3, footnote 3. The applicant may have mistakenly thought that the special permit granting authority issued a single permit in 1989 entitled Special Permit and Site Plan Review, when in fact the two separate permits were issued in 1989 on different dates. in addition to the 2013 letter of decision, should not have been filed with the registry as the appeal period has not passed. The special permit granting authority did not hold a special permit hearing or follow the requirements on notice and posting for the special permit hearing, but merely issued a special report of public meetings, not hearings, held to determine whether there should be a modification of a permit. The appeal from the 2013 letter of decision would be in the nature of certiorari. This is the word, I can't pronounce the word, but it's to do with Superior Court and becoming a Superior Court to a lesser court. Okay. As set out by Massachusetts law, section 249, section 4, a certiorari, that's not the correct pronunciation of the words, certiorari appeal period is 60 days from the date of the proceeding complained of. The proceeding complained of is the date that the vote was taken by the board to issue the decision. Conclusion: the special permit granting authority should schedule a hearing to correct the errors referenced above by providing notice, publication, and scheduling a hearing pursuant to the requirements set out by Massachusetts General Law, Section 40A, 9 and 11. If Market Basket does not request such a hearing, the special permit granting authority, of its own volition, should take action to correct the failure of Market Basket to file for a special permit modification before the removing of the screening to the abutter's property. The removal of the screening in 2010 could have been the subject of an enforcement action, but at this point in time, the simplest and most charitable solution is to schedule a modification hearing that complies with the statutory requirements. Notice should also be sent to Demoulas Supermarkets Incorporated, the legal name for the property owner, 875 East Street, Tewksbury, Massachusetts, 01876. Attention, Arthur T. Demoulas, President, for a referral to legal department. There have been sufficient mistakes in the attempt to amend the amended special permit and the amended site plan approval permit list number 5 and 6, number 6, that should be brought to the attention of the corporate attorneys so that they can address some of the procedural and recording problems. Please please call me for any questions. And then also went down here into the permit list. And some of on the permit list, number 1, 24 October 1989, special permit approved with conditions, planning board. 25 conditions. Condition number 4 requires resubmission if changes to site from the approved plan or approved special permit. Recorded 11/24/1994 at book 1282-9, page 100. Number 2, October the 5th, 1989. Site plan approval with conditions, planning board, 20 conditions: restorm, water, traffic, landscaping, lighting. Condition number 20 required any changes to site or approved site plan or special permit requires resubmission to the planning board. Recorded 11/24/1994 at book 12/829, page 104. Re-recorded 7/12/2013 at book 32/648, page 353. Number 3, 6 December 1990, variance from section 7.4 for a large sign board of appeals. Variance granted on 6 December 1990. Recorded April the 8th, 1991 at book 10/75-2, page 380. Re-recorded 7/12/2013, Book 3264-8, page 350. Number 4, 5 April 1991, special permit, section 7.4, internally lit sign, Board of Selectmen, granted, Board of Selectmen, June 2nd, 1991. Recorded July 10th, 1991, at book 1086-4, page 370. Application recorded as decision 7/12/2013, book 3264-6, page 343. Number 5, 16 December 1992, special permit, amended planning board, recorded December 16th, 1994, at book 1286-2, page 335, 2 years after issuance date. Number 6, 17 December 1992, site plan amendment, planning board, 12 conditions in 1989 were deleted, and the rest are incorporated by reference, along with the 8 new conditions added. The new conditions concerning landscaping, retention basin, lighting, screening, traffic, noise, and repeated the 1989 conditions that any change to the approved and endorsed site plan would require resubmission to the board. Recorded December 16, 1994, at book 1286-2, page 338, 2 years after date of issuance. Number 7, 24 June 2013, modification, that has to be correct, gentlemen, okay, that's a, okay. Modification to special permit and site plan planning board. Board approved minor modification of special permit and site plan regarding screening of reserved leach field that had been installed 2010. The permit modification was recorded 7/12/2013, book 3264-8, page 338. So, I will open this up to discussion with the board. Gentlemen have read this all over. Any feelings?
Sounds like it might be a little bit of a mess here.
Yeah, the evaluation by the town council clearly shows that we have some issues to deal with.
Yes.
That this was not a minor modification.
So I think this needs to go to the planning board.
Has there been a reaction from the planning board, or did they receive the copy of this?
Not yet. The board was going to discuss it this evening, and as a follow-up to the July 15th meeting that the abutters attended and presented their petition of concerns.
I think this needs to go to Mueller's board, directors, to the legal department, and to be, what is it,
Well, there's concerns that the title
the-
will be
of the-
clouded
of the
because
title.
of re-recording of documents that were recorded, and that the registry should not have accepted because they were already recorded. Additionally, there's a internally lit sign application for some reason from 1995 that was recorded on July 15, 2013, and actually Mr. Curran got an email from the planning department that had the attachment of some communication that there were several documents that had been recorded, and the application was among them for some reason. I don't know why. But these are things that Judy said as just an observance as an attorney, that the owner of the property, which the selectmen had said we should be communicating with as a town, should be notified that there could be some cloudiness in the title of that property with all of these
Right.
attachments now made to it.
Mr. Chairman, can we, obviously we're gonna hear from the residents, I'm sure, forward this package to the planning board with a request that they get back to us with what action they're taking, rather than us, sending something to the Moolers. And I mean, I don't think we need to. I mean, all the legal ramifications all involve the planning board and the issuance of their permits. So I think if we.
Well, actually, Judy Pickett said the selectmen, now that they know, don't get involved with it. Just put them
Exactly.
on notice with the package that
Give them the
the heads
package.
up that this has happened on their property, that there have been all these recordings. So just as informational, it's not our issue, but they should look into it. And additionally, she also says in her memo that it would be, the planning board should have a hearing and.
Yeah, we should direct the planning board to follow the procedure.
I agree with the administrator in that we need to notify Market Basket Corporation.
Yes.
And let their legal people look into this, because this could really get out of hand if they decide to transfer their property to something else, and it doesn't work because of all these things that have been
Recorded.
Transpired here that
Re-recorded.
shouldn't have been recorded.
Yeah, I agree. I understand what you're saying. My question is are we? What is our legal? In other words, the legal issues here involve Market Basket and the planning board.
Right. Now, obviously,
And how
Market
much
Basket-
do we? In other words, other than giving them the information, I mean, I don't think we want Market Basket having us and the planning board and what, you know what I'm saying? In other words,
No, it's informational only, Dave.
okay, so as long as it's informational
I feel
only.
strongly we need to let them know what's going on here.
Okay.
Obviously, they don't, because it's all got done. And I agree, the planning board needs to look at Judy's opinion and decide which road they're gonna take to try to straighten this out.
Well, that's fine, as long as we're not stepping into the middle of the legal issues involved here.
Right. I think this needs to go to the planning board, but also I think Demoulas needs to be notified.
Absolutely.
I'd like to do that in two separate motions. That would be my
Okay.
recommendation, that we send a notification to Market Basket.
Okay?
And then as a separate, that we send the whole package to the planning board and request that they review and that they report.
Okay. Is that your motion?
I'll make a motion that we send a package to Demoulas.
Okay, so that's
I
the first motion we need. You seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Second motion.
That we send the package to the planning board for their review and for their, and to let us know what they're going to do about it.
Okay.
No second.
And anything else to be modified in that?
Report back to us, not just let
Yes.
us know. A written report back as to
In a timely manner.
the next steps that they're
Timely
gonna
manner,
take
yes.
and how it's gonna be put
In a
together.
timely manner.
Time we- Any other modifications to it? Okay, that's the motion.
Yep.
No second.
And have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The abutters are here from Cedarwood. Mr. Curran?
Dick Curran, 16 Cedarwood Lane. We've heard an awful lot of information here this evening, sir. And one request I would like to make is, as the spokesperson for the Cedarwood Lane residents, I'd like to have a copy of the documentation that was presented to the Board of Selectmen by the town attorney. But I would like to make one thing perfectly clear, that we're kind of in a position now with the installation of the wooden fence has taken place. It's about, what would you say, Cliff, 85, 80%? It's 3/4 done. The chain link fence has been put in its entirety, so we, as abutters, don't want to see this delay anything, because in principle, we've agreed to what's being done out there. As far as the legal, the way it was done, the procedure was done, the modification, whatever it be, is in our vein, it's a legal issue that has to be taken up between Market Basket people and the planning board, as stated here at this meeting this evening. So just to make it perfectly clear that we don't want this situation to stop that project whatsoever. Now, I do know in checking the notices at the town clerk's office, this market basket project is going to be, there's going to be an update given, I believe, at Wednesday night's meeting. So I'm sure that, I know for one, I can speak on my own. I will be there to hear what's going to be said, but if this is going to go forward, again, and I'm repeating myself, we just don't want this to slow down or stop or put any whatsoever, because I would say that with the fence installed, we probably lost sight of 80% of the building,
Okay.
which is a plus. It's definitely a huge improvement over what it was 2 years ago. So, I mean, with that said.
Well, it's just a shame that it's taken so long.
Yes, it is, and what we're hearing here tonight is that if the process had been followed properly back 4 years ago, more than likely, it wouldn't have taken 4 years. It would have been all ironed out, done in the proper manner, with all the permit requests and so forth and so on, and then it would have been done, and you know, so we do appreciate the efforts put in by the selectmen. We do thank you very much.
So in other words, Dick, the residents are happy, quote unquote, with the work out there, so we're talking about legal issues here between the market basket, record,
Yes. Right.
hearings, permits,
Yeah.
and recordings and things like that, so.
We're happy with the way it is right now.
Right.
We were never happy with the fact
Right,
that they took the trees down.
Right, right.
Because in listening to this being stated this evening, the way I interpret it is that those trees never should have come down out of there. It should have been a situation where if a public hearing was held, the abutters would have had the opportunity to say,
Yes.
at that time, yes, back in the original permit request before that.
It's instead of saying
Building
yes,
permit.
it seems to be, that seems to be the,
Yes.
what would have happened.
It would have been that we may have had an opportunity to say, with a little bit more clout, if I can use that word, try and find another location for that instead of behind our houses.
I think the best way, when I put it, when we first came in, both being good neighbors.
Yes, exactly.
Both the residents and the corporations have a responsibility to both be good neighbors. And that fell to the wayside here. That's what I believe. And then when we started to dig, now we come up with this, and we find legal problems. So, you know, it's that old adage in the Bible: before you get dragged into court, make amends with your neighbor before the judge gets a hold of you and things get worse. And that's what's happened here.
Correct.
So.
Yep. That sums it up.
So anything from, I know, Dick, you're the spokesman for the Cedarwood.
Well,
Butters, so-
when they file the new permit and all, we want to make sure that there is documentation that's going to be in there that's going to hold them responsible to. If there's any damage to the fence, it gets replaced. If there's any trees that die within the next 2 or 3 years, that they be replaced. There's maintenance issues there too that has to be done. The chain link fence, if one of the trucks bangs into it or something like that, knocks it over, there's snow removal behind there. It could very well be hit by a bucket loader or something like that. So we want to be able to have those.
That should all be in the special permit.
Yes.
That is.
Modification.
So, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think the idea would be that, as Judy said, at this point, realizing there is activity underway under what was approved in June by the planning board, we would sort of memorialize whatever approval for the structures and things like that that have been sort of approved by the planning board in this other process, but make it formal, and then have the abutters have the ability to attend a hearing and present some of their concerns as abutters and parties in interest under the statute, that ongoing maintenance of things would be addressed as conditions to the amended special permit. I believe that would be it'd be officially the amendment of the amended special permit from 90, that was voted in 94, I believe. So that, I think, can be addressed in this process that Judy Pickett is suggesting, so that things wouldn't slow down, but be memorialized as already approved officially in that process, as well as having conditions on that would address what the selectmen received on July 15th, that list of various concerns about.
Well, I hope this, helps the situation and moves it forward and.
And with that mentioned, is E. Egan, Town Administrator. I would like to resubmit to the board what we originally submitted to you at the July 15th meeting. That's our requests.
Okay.
It's more or less the maintenance, the upkeep, the replacement of the trees, and those various points.
Now, you're gonna present this to the planning
You're
board
gonna,
at a posted, meeting, for permit meeting.
When they go through the permitting process and that, we will put together a list of our requests that would state those.
okay.
Very good.
Okay. So these are with you file these with the,
Yes, please.
okay.
And I may have a copy of all that documentation.
Oh, sure.
No, he
all the
wants a copy of this
documentation.
Oh, this one, yes.
You could provide that to you tomorrow?
We'll provide that to you.
Okay.
I want the documentation.
Yes, I'd like to have that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll have that for you, Dick. Okay. Anything else we can do for you?
No, sir. No. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good
Thank you
luck.
very much.
Thank you, David.
Good luck.
Robert, always a pleasure. Bob, thank you.
Nick?
Appreciate it. Jack?
Okay. Hope everything works out for you.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Good night, ladies.
Hey, we're gonna get that switch off.
Yeah, you want that?
All the hot air's gone, so. Hold it off now, right?
That's on TV. Okay, let's move on.
I can't say anything after that. That's all. Okay. All right, let me put this over here so we don't lose it. It's the documentation that came in. Okay. These are my papers. Okay. Okay, what did we leave off?
Want to do those last
New
minutes,
business?
Bob, there?
Okay.
Get the minutes out of the way?
Yeah, let's continue with the April 1st, 2013 minutes executive session.
Okay.
Okay, everybody read them?
Yep.
Okay. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion that we accept the minutes for April 1st, 2013.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain. I wasn't here.
Okay. Okay. July 29th, 2013.
Read 'em?
You read them? Everybody else? Have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes of the Selectmen Executive Meeting for July 29th, 2013.
Well, no, this is the regular meeting.
Okay, a regular meeting,
Regular
sorry.
meeting, July 29th.
Yes.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, July 29th, 2013, executive session.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes for the Selectmen Executive Meeting for July 29th, 2013.
Okay. I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now let's go back to new business. Discuss fall, if I can find it. What can I do with it? Oh, thanks. Thanks, Bob.
Anytime, sir.
Okay. Discuss fall town meeting date. New business. Debbie has checked the town meeting with town meeting moderator John Peterson and town clerk Susan Hazen regarding the availability for fall special town meeting. There They are both available on Monday, October 28th, and Monday, November 4th. Which dates does the board wish to meet? So it's October 28th or November 4th. You have anything particular, gentlemen, you're doing?
What's going on in the meeting? Do you have any idea what?
Zoning, there could be some transfers. We have a transfer to fund the fire union contract. There may be some miscellaneous appropriation articles. But a lot of the idea, Mr. Peterson, was last spring, the zoning review committee that we have was working on a number of zoning bylaws, and the selectmen don't want to overload the annual and the spring special town meetings, because we should try to accomplish that in one evening. So
We didn't have.
That's fine, I was just curious if we had.
Matter of fact, we didn't have time to get the zoning issues into the annual town meeting, the special town meeting at that time.
yeah, and
in
this
the
would
spring.
allow a much easier time to take up zoning without the pressure of the budget on the same night.
Okay,
I don't know how big a consideration November 4th would be. There's an election on November 5th.
And we did clear that with the town clerk. There will be
Right.
no election in Rowley.
Oh, there won't be?
No.
Okay,
okay.
And the following Monday after that is Veterans Day.
right, so
And then the
that's,
following,
that's out.
November 18th, I believe, then is, Mrs. Peterson will be away. So, we were back to October 28th or November 4th.
So is there one better than the other with you?
November 4th probably gives us an extra week to,
Yeah, right.
Take an extra week, I
Okay.
guess. We could use it.
other than that, I don't think it makes no difference.
All right, let's do November 4th, sound good?
sounds good.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion that we set the special fall special town meeting date for November 4th, was it?
November 4th.
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's official, gentlemen. All right, let us discuss the Essex County Greenbelt Association regarding sale of property. And Bob, I'm hoping that you have it close, because I can't find it in my, thank you. Actually, it's in that pile over there that I read this afternoon. Okay, dear Miss Egan, this is from David Santromena, Director of Land Conservation. This is from Greenbelt. Dear Miss Egan, as you are aware, the Girl Scouts of Easton, Massachusetts have announced their intention to sell the Spar and Spindle property on Weathersfield Street in Raleigh. The Girl Scouts have approached Greenbelt and requested our assistance in evaluating conservation options for the property. We have had an opportunity to meet with the Girl Scout leadership and have walked the property. At this juncture, we would like to bring the town of Raleigh into the conversation, and to that end, would respectfully request that at their meeting on August 12th, the Board of Selectmen consider scheduling an executive session to discuss a real estate transaction for August 26th meeting. With apologies, I am unable to attend the meeting on the 12th of August due to a previous meeting commitment, but would attend the meeting on the 26th. Thank you very much for your consideration. Please feel free to contact me via email. Get the email address and the telephone number. Any questions? David T. Santromena. Again, after reading this, is asking for an executive session. We can't have an executive session because,
Mr. Chairman, I think we need to have an informational session.
Yes.
Which would be held in open meeting. And then if it goes any further than that, we could address executive meetings.
the Girl Scouts have not even approached the town on this issue.
Absolutely.
And so, executive session for clarification for the townspeople out there, that we would only enter executive session for the purpose of discussing union contracts, negotiations that would be sensitive to the town, such as monetary, but we would not, just for informational, that all has to be done in open session. So we can't even
I think the wording of
address this.
the executive session legislation is that it has to be detrimental to the process we're trying to do. And
Yes.
at this point, I don't believe this is detrimental to that process to be
No.
gathering information.
Right, we do need an informational session so that we can find out what they're proposing, you know, and how they want to handle
Exactly.
the property.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be, I mean, Greenbelt seems to be in communications, but the Girl Scouts haven't even contacted us.
No.
We don't even know, all we know is what we've read in the newspapers.
Right.
Okay, so,
And as far as I'm concerned, that's hearsay.
yeah, that's hearsay. That's true. So, that's that.
So, Mr.
So are they
Chairman,
coming in the 26th?
well, how do I respond then?
Well,
What do you,
I
would you
guess
like to do
respond to them,
then?
tell them we cannot go into executive session. We haven't been contacted by the Girl Scouts. And,
Okay, so
Yeah.
I understand, so I would
Just-
reply to Mr. Santamena that the selectmen would like to have an informational session
yes,
to find out a little bit more about
the-
the property, because there's no negotiating position to go into executive session, because there hasn't been a discussion on the concept of,
we really need to be contacted.
Purchasing the
we
land
really,
and-
really need to be contacted by the Girl Scouts first before,
Well,
I
we-
don't see, how can,
Well, I mean, that's if they, Girl Scouts are selling it to us. I mean, if they're selling it to Greenbelt, they don't have to contact us at all. I think
Oh.
Greenbelt is probably looking for us to kick in some funds out of CPC or whatever, so maybe, well, I think if we just tell,
if he could
we'll
come
tell the
in.
Greenbelt that we'd like some general information as to what we're talking about before we proceed into
Certainly.
any further,
Well, we
Discussions.
we have no idea what the intention is
No.
of the Girl Scouts.
yes,
Whether they have special restrictions they want to put onto it, or whatever they want to do. I mean, I think we need to know that before we can make any type of a decision as to what we might want.
I would
Right.
think we should have some sort of contact with the Girl Scouts that,
Yeah, I mean.
well, if they wanna
that's
sell
we
the
don't even
property,
know-
if they
again-
don't wanna sell the property to the town,
yeah,
then we don't, I mean, they could go to Greenbelt could do it without ever
Well, we-
involving us at all, if they wanted to.
We followed a process, we worked well with Bob Ford, the attorney for Autobahn, when Autobahn approached the owner of property out on the marshland, Rough
marshlands.
Meadows Sanctuary. They had meetings with several of the town boards, you know, with the proposal, and the town was a contributor towards the purchase of it, but we weren't negotiating directly with the landowner, it was, Mass Autobahn, so
But
it could be a model like that they're looking for.
It might be worthwhile just to mention in the letter, you know, we'd have an open meeting discussion, and if you want to bring someone from the Girl Scouts who wants to attend with you, that they'd be more than
Yeah.
welcome to, you know, just to kind of get the ball rolling to see, in general, what kind of lands they're
What they're
looking
looking
at.
to do.
Yeah.
Basically, what do they want to do and what they want it to wind up to be. I mean, whether they want to sell it to a developer or whatever, I mean, I don't know, so.
Right.
Okay.
I'll get back to him with the,
do you need a motion for that or anything?
if you would like to send a formal letter, then I would call for a motion, otherwise I'll
A motion?
contact him.
I'll make that motion that we send a letter.
Okay.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
It's official. Thank you, gentlemen. That was a long meeting for a summer meeting, isn't it? Okay, announcements. Raleigh Food Pantry is in need of donations. The Raleigh Food Pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. They are in need of everything, so if anything you can, especially this is the summertime, it's, they're always in need of staples and food and everything, but this is, during the summer months, it kind of falls off everybody's meter. There's baskets over at the library, you can do a drop-off, or you can go behind the parsonage of the Baptist Church. And again, it's Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays 5:30 to 7 p.m. Okay, the town has the following vacant seats. Council on Aging, vacancy, Zoning Board of Appeals, Associate 3 open seats on the Board of Appeals. We have 2 fence viewer positions and a wood lumber bark inspector. Also, the battery recycling box is located right here at Town Hall and in the library. You have your old D batteries, old double A's, whatever you have, instead of throwing in the landfill. We've talked about this before. It's a good way of becoming green. Put them in a little bag. Matter of fact, I dropped up some off tonight that I've been saving up for the last couple of months, and just drop them out there in the box. And again, good way of becoming green. We're going into executive section, collective bargaining with on AFSCME. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make that motion that we go into executive session and not to return an open session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor of the roll call vote?
Jack Cook.
Joe Perry.
I, Robert Snow.
Hi, Robert Murray.
Hi, Dave Peters.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks on the 26th, correct? Enjoy your summer. Be safe. Good night now.